All right, we're going to go ahead and get started if we can. I see a couple seats up here in the front, and so if there's anyone standing, there is a couple extra seats. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. It is 6:01, and I'm going to ask our attorney, do we have anything to report out of closed session, sir?
No, Mayor, there's no reportable action tonight.
All right, thank you. And just so everybody knows, we did have a special meeting earlier today on the budget workshop kind of meeting and also a closed session. So we are now in our regular meeting, and I will ask the city clerk, do we have any correspondence received on tonight's agenda?
Yes, and they are in your red folders.
All right, very good. Thank you. With that, would you mind calling roll, please?
Councilmember Estrada,
Present.
Councilmember Carwin,
Here.
Councilmember Sobek,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dinas,
Here.
and Mayor Zimmerman.
And I'm here, thank you. I believe that we have Candace Rains from the Paris Union High School District. Do you mind leading us in our flag salute tonight? All right, everybody, let's please stand. Thank you, Candace. All right, thank you, Ms. Rains. And I believe we have Joe Sabolic from New Creation Church. Are you here? Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming to give us some words of inspiration.
Thank you very much. All right, well, great to see you all tonight, and I believe we're going to have a great meeting, and you all look great. Let's just have a word of prayer, and I will only go for about 30 or 40 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your love. Lord, we thank you for the words that are inscripted on this wall, "In God we trust." And Father, we pray for this wonderful city, the city of Menifee. We are thankful for this beautiful place. We pray for safety in our schools, Lord. I pray for Chair Bill Ankerman. I pray for our city attorney, Jeff, and our mayor, Bill Zimmerman, council members, Bob, Ricky, Lisa, and our mayor pro tem, Dean Deans. Lord, I pray that you'd bless our city clerk, our planning department, Father. Lord, we pray for our police department. Lord, we thank you for the great police department that you've allowed to come together in our city, Father. And Lord, we pray for their safety and that you would bless them, Lord, in our fire departments, Lord, in the city, God, that you would give them direction, give them safety, Lord. We pray for the safety of our community, Lord. And Father, we would ask, God, that you would bless each person here that works so hard to make this city a wonderful place. We pray for the maintenance, those who are in charge of all the maintenance, Lord God, give them wisdom, Father. We thank you for the iron workers that are here tonight. We pray that you would bless them, Father. And Lord, we pray for every person that's represented in this place. We recognize, God, that you are an amazing Father that sent your Son to show us your love and your compassion and your mercy. So Lord, bless this wonderful meeting tonight. Let there be great unity here. Let everybody be filled with love as you called us to love one another. And Lord, we thank you for the powerful grace that you've displayed to us through Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great night. Thank you, Mayor.
We appreciate you coming tonight. All right, we're on item 5 now. This is presentations, and we have 2. Our first one is a Caltrans update. I'm not sure if Mr. Martinez is here. Oh, he is. Okay, so come on up to the podium. I believe you are the Maintenance Public Information Officer. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, good evening, everybody. So there were some questions we received in regards to maintenance in the area of Menifee. First off, it's the first question that we received was fence maintenance and repair and how we identify that. So fence damages often occur. CHP basically notifies us if there's a traffic collision and a fence was in effect of that. So CHP basically lets Caltrans dispatch know, and also dispatch relieves that information to the Caltrans maintenance teams. Maintenance supervisors or designated crews often go out to segments that they are responsible for at least once or twice a week to identify any deficiencies in fencing, litter removal, graffiti, weed abatement, or just signage as well. Basic time frame for any type of repair on fences is about a 30-day leeway time. Lately, it's been about 1 to 2 weeks, but since the severity of the storm and everything like that, things may be pushed back a little bit, and also depending on the maintenance priorities and available resources to go ahead and fix those types of fences. If it is a severity issue or it does deem to be a safety concern, we go and address that as quick as we can. Another topic that we were presented with was litter removal. We basically have a subcontractor out for the I-215 area, starting from McCall all the way to Marietta Hot Springs. That will go out 5 days out of the week, but depending on severity of different areas, if areas deemed to be in importance or they have a high collective area of litter, then they go ahead and get moved to that area to go ahead and remove, and then continue their scheduled maintenance when time concerns. We also have a special program personnel that will go out scheduled on the weekends to go ahead and address litter as well. That is also scheduled by the maintenance supervisor of the area, which is the Lake Elsinore supervisor. So we go ahead and continuously clean up areas roughly every week, and if it deems that we need to go out on the weekend, we go in and send out our SPP crews. Graffiti is another one that we actually get hammered with a lot. Graffiti is a topic that basically we get calls for, people submit customer service requests for, and we usually handle those within a week. If it's any type of profanity or anything like that, we try to remove that same day, if not early next day. Some of the agents that we use a cleaning agent, or we just go ahead and just paint over that just to go in and remove the graffiti. One big topic that I want to address is weed abatement. Weed abatement is handled at the beginning of May, and we frequently handle the areas that are deemed fire hazard areas. So we go ahead and make sure that we collectively and thoroughly and periodically check up on those areas. If it does need mowing, then we go ahead and mow it. But it all also depends on scheduling, and as well as it also depends on this resources as well. So if we have the staffing and if we have our equipment's all perfect, we go ahead and make sure that we get it done. So collectively, we go out every week, check areas, and if it needs it, we go in and schedule it. Recently, this week, we actually received a request for the northbound I-215 sign to reflect Marietta and Menifee instead of Menifee instead of Sun City. So the new measurement will be at Newport instead of McCall. So we went ahead and sent that customer service request, processed it, send it over to our traffic ops operations division so that they can go in and schedule an engineer to go ahead and handle that and get it approved. Once it's approved, we go in and send it out to our signs division, and then they go ahead and create a new sign for you guys. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we go in and hear an approval. We're going to get the development of the sign, and so that we can get you guys a new sign instead of it saying Sun City. Also, we also received a request in regards to updating.
Can I stop you right there? Did we ask for that to be changed from Sun City?
Or did that come
Didn't we
from a
fight to get
resident?
that changed back to Sun City?
Correct. That was one of the things that we actually fought back on, and we received that from Tyler Fife, your guys' public works manager. So we kind of sent a message back to him in regards to that.
So if I remember right, there's a little sign on the freeway that when you go in over by the hill, there is a little Sun City
Right.
sign there. But what, is he talking about the freeway sign?
Mileage.
Yeah, we're talking about the
Okay,
mileage
so
sign.
that's different. That's the different.
Yeah, you
Oh,
get,
okay.
Entering the community of Sun City is still there.
Okay, that's the one I thought he was talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's a brown sign that says Sun City. That one's not going to be
All
changed.
right, thank you. Sorry.
No,
got me
no,
all-
absolutely,
Got me all
absolutely.
excited.
No problem at all. Yeah, so the mileage sign will be changed, and it's going to reflect Newport instead of McCall. Also, the population, we're going to go ahead and address that as well. We actually received a new total for you guys' population, so we're going to go ahead and send our traffic ops operation engineers to go and make sure that's true, so we can go and get that approved as well. But other than that, that's all the updates that I have on the Caltrans side. Do you have any other questions or concerns?
Well, yes, thank you, Mr. Martinez. Thank you for taking the time tonight and being here and giving us some updates. Just so you know, regularly, the council members talk to our maintenance teams here in town. Mainly, we're hearing from residents that are asking us to do maintenance, especially on the off-ramps and on-ramps, because that's what we call our welcome mat as you're coming to the city, right? And we want it to look as nice as possible. And the answer is, well, that's Caltrans jurisdiction, but we can encourage them to come and mow and do those things. So just so you know, it's an issue here in town, and we would love to be able to have those areas kept in good shape. I really would appreciate that. I know Councilmember Sobek has a comment as well.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Martinez, for coming. I'm glad you made it out today with all the rain. I'm sure you're busy
Yes.
on the freeways. So thank you for addressing some of the maintenance issues. As the mayor said, one of the biggest questions we get is our interchanges and the weed abatement. And if maybe you can just give some information. When I've seen the weed abatement being done at some of the interchanges, they'll usually start on one side of the freeway. And how far, and like they forgot McCall, like they'll forget the north side of McCall, they start on the south side, it will go down to Marietta, Temecula, come back around, that's what I noticed, so tell me if I'm wrong.
No,
And then,
you're correct.
and then it's the east side, and it's like they'll do the south side of McCall, and then maybe the north side on one side, but then there's always a section that's forgotten. So can you help us understand that
No,
process?
correct. I've actually received that inquiry from people just calling in as well. That's one thing that we want to go ahead and try to address as well. I brought it up to the supervisor and the superintendent so that we can make sure that we thoroughly check and make sure that nothing is missed. So hopefully we can see that change when it comes down to May, when we start doing those litter abatement, schedulings and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully we see a change in that. But yeah, we have received concerns in regard to that. I don't know exactly why they do that.
Okay.
But yeah, we can absolutely address that.
So we're District 8.
Yes.
And where does our district start and end?
So we actually, District 8 handles San Bernardino and Riverside County.
Oh, the whole
Yeah,
area.
yeah, so we handle all of that.
Okay, so it doesn't start in Paris at their off-ramp and go so far?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. McCall is actually handled by the two, so it's Riverside maintenance teams and as well as Elsinore maintenance teams as well. So, we're working hard just to go ahead and team up on a whole south level, which is Riverside County, to go in and address those concerns because we're getting hammered with those types of questions as well. So
Okay,
Yeah.
and then, thank you for that. And then one other, so so as the mayor mentioned, we get these questions all the time. What's the process? If we need to contact you, do we go through our city public works department and then they contact you? Is that, what's the way, if a resident wanted to contact you?
okay, yeah. If a resident wanted to contact us or they had any type of concern, they can absolutely call the Caltrans District 8 office.
Okay.
Or if they wanted to submit any type of customer service request, we do have a website for that. It's csr.dot.ca.gov. And then we basically go in and process it, send it out to the appropriate maintenance crews so that their concerns can get addressed. Yeah, and our phone number is 909-383-8359.
8359, and can you repeat that email again?
Yes, the website
Website.
is csr.dot.ca.gov.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, thank you. You were very,
Absolutely.
it was very good information
And
tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Carwin's in the queue as well.
Thank you. I don't know if you were just speaking in shorthand or not. I just wanted to make sure I understood. So you were talking about referencing McCall down to Murrieta. Our city goes to Ethanac.
Okay.
So is that a different zone or something?
Yeah, that's actually Riverside maintenance. Yeah.
Okay, so where does the Caltrans line go down the middle of McCall? Is that why North isn't being done?
Yeah, it's right on the.
So that's a different group. That's not Caltrans.
It's not the
Lake
Elsinore.
Elsinore group, it's a Riverside group.
Yeah, so it's Riverside, and then it's also Elsinore.
Can we make a request for that to be looked at?
Yeah.
Maybe our city boundary it could be moved to
Absolutely,
on the north?
absolutely. I could bring that up.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll go in and talk to the southern managers and see if we can go in and get that changed.
That would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Martinez, thanks
It's so
for being
weird that
here.
it would go right down the center of the street
Yeah.
instead of the whole interchange.
Right. Yeah.
All right, great suggestions, and again, thank you for taking time tonight. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a fire department update, and I believe Chief Lonnie Olson is here. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight is your quarterly update for October, November, and December, and then I threw in some calendar year 2023 year-end stats. And get the PowerPoint up.
Who would have it?
We're going to have to take a pause while I go and grab the PowerPoint. Yeah. You got it?
All right, we're back.
I just wanted to build some anticipation. All right. Next slide, please. You're done. Okay, for October, November, and December, our total calls for service were 3,486. For significant incidents, we had 7 structure fires, 148 traffic collisions, and maintained our good response time of 4.5 minutes within the city. The image on the left is kind of that heat map elevated view of the city of where all those calls happened during that quarter. And the blue are medical, red are fire, and then the other are miscellaneous for hazmat, public service assist like flooding that we're dealing with currently. And then for our automatic aid and cooperative fire protection statistics, Menifee assisted the city of Canyon Lake through automatic aid 18 times, and Canyon Lake assisted the city of Menifee 7 times. And our calls outside the city, we ran 374 calls and received assistance on 144 calls in the city. For our fire marshal stats for the quarter, they had 300 plan reviews and 1,434 inspections. And then for all of the calendar year, they had 1,116 plan reviews, 3,222 inspections, and maintained a 15-day for the plan review and 2-day turnaround time on their inspections. And then this is year-end stats for our Menifee Lifesavers program. And if you remember, we really didn't start gaining traction or start that program till April, but we did put together some very successful numbers. To date in the city, we have 256 Menifee Lifesavers trained. And for our PAD program, we have now placed AEDs in St. Vincent's Church, St. Lutheran Church, and at both of the Menifee Boys and Girls Club locations. And we've handed out over 872 Vial of Life forms and held classes for St. Vincent's Church, Audie Murphy Ranch, and Holiday HOAs. Really good news for our Menifee Fire Explorer program. We welcomed 23 new fire explorers to the program. This is an awesome program, and if you know anybody that would like to join, please have them go to joinrvcfire.org or stop by our Menifee Lakes Fire Station to sign up. And then for our 2023 totals, 13,697 incidents in the city, and overall yearly average of 4.6 minute average response time. And you can see I put the year by year there from 2021 on specifically. That's prior to us putting Medic Squad 7 in place, and you can see the significant improvements that we've had since putting that. It came in mid-year 2022 and full calendar year for 2023. So 4.6 minutes overall. And then the bottom left chart shows call demand for the individual units within the city. As you can see, most of them are staying fairly busy. Putting that medic squad into place, we finally did knock Engine 7 out of the top 10 busiest fire engines in the county. But now Engine 76 has climbed up and is now the 9th busiest fire engine in the county. So, but keep them busy. And then to kind of give perspective, overall call demand from year to year from 2015 through 2023, just to give perspective. And then that bottom chart on the bottom right there shows that workload for the calendar year broken down by their primary response areas. And then as asked, this is some fire education on home fire extinguishers. So what we ask when you purchase a home fire extinguisher, the type that you're getting is typically called like an ABC fire extinguisher, that we use for like ordinary combustibles, flammable liquids, and small electrical fires. And when you place them in the home, we ask that you place them somewhere in your living quarters near your bedrooms, as well as in your garage, and then somewhere near your kitchen and living space that you have. And then if you have a laundry room, we'd like one in there, as well as if you have a basement. We'd like you to check them out at least once a month, and if they have that pressure gauge on them, we want that little needle to remain in the green and not in the red as shown there. And then in the unfortunate event that you have to use the fire extinguisher, that simple phrase of pass. So pull, aim, squeeze, sweep, sweep. There is a cotter pin in it that keeps the lever from compressing into the handle to engage it. Pull the cotter pin, aim it at the base or bottom of the fire, not at the middle of the flames, and then squeeze the trigger and sweep it back and forth in a left to right motion. And then recommendations from the National Fire Protection Agency are to replace those home extinguishers about every 12 years, and the normal size that you should carry in a regular size room is about 5 pounds. That completes my report, unless you have any questions.
All right, Chief, thank you so much. I did see a question from Councilmember Carwin.
Thanks, Chief. I know that this wasn't part of your report, but over the past couple of weeks with all the rains and the road closures we've had, do you have any approximation as to how many flood rescues you've done? People who tried to drive through a closed road and got stuck?
Specific to the city of Menifee?
Right.
And road closures, no. I'm not aware of any significant rescues that actually occurred within the city. I know we had the first major day of rain, there were 20 total in the county, but the last report I saw didn't have any that happened within our city.
That's great. Thank you.
Councilmember Sobek?
Yeah, I had a similar question yesterday when I was driving to City Hall. 3 fire trucks were in front of me that turned here on Hahn. One of them had a RAF up on top of the fire truck, and I was wondering if I was gonna ask, was there a swift water rescue, or did they take advantage in practice? Is that?
So preemptively, when we get storms like this and knowing the specific areas where we have a lot of the low water crossings and stuff like that, we'll staff what we call our swift water team. So we had them staffed strategically throughout the county, and our special rescue team out of Station 76 is one of those that we regularly staff. And they ride around with that boat until the rain stops. So that'll be, right now we're planning on releasing those swift water teams at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you, and I want to say thank you for the fire extinguisher information.
Welcome.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
And you know, before you go, I was noticing that one pie chart that showed that more than half of the calls in this city are coming from Fire Station 7 or to Fire Station 7 in Sun City. And I think we made a very good move by adding that second medic truck and staffing it with a EMT and a medic, because that's where the calls are. And so I'm just appreciative of your great service to our residents. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to item 6 now. This is our agenda or approval of the any modifications. Madam Clerk, do we have any modifications to tonight's agenda?
No, we do not.
All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, our agenda is approved. We're now on item 7, and this is public comments. It's public comments on non-agenda items. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak, first of all, before I read this?
Yes, we do.
All right, so this is the time for members of the public to address the council on items that are not on our agenda. The Brown Act limits the council's ability to respond to comments. That means if you ask us a question, we're not going to be answering that up here. Each speaker is going to be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. So with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the first speaker?
First up is Greg August, followed by Hugo Divers.
Thank you. Welcome, former Councilman August.
Don't start that clock yet. Okay. Anyway, Mayor and members of the council, good evening. Happy to see you all survived last Friday's community meeting at Fairfield Estates. An overflow crowd of highly emotional, fully charged residents, not shy or bashful, in sharing their concerns. Unruly, but understandable. Had it not been for Councilman Carwin taking the stage to ease and calm all the acrimony coming from the floor, I doubt the meeting would have lasted more than 15 minutes. So therefore, Bob, you are now qualified to be Chief Sergeant-at-Arms for all future disputes. But that's all, okay? Wanting input from the audience, Wade Hall of Ambient Communities took questions from the audience. Not much was learned, and the meeting ended well short of the scheduled 2 hours, even though many residents were still wanting to ask questions. The majority of the request from the audience was for the property to remain a golf course. That would have been my preference as well. However, Mr. Hall immediately turned off all the water to the property, realistically ending all prospects for a golf course. Members of his team have since determined that in the future, due to an undersurface freshwater line, only potable water can be used to maintain the property, a claim that I strongly doubt. I believe I heard Mr. Hall also say at the meeting there was approximately 80 acres of usable land. The sketch plan that I've seen shows most of the intents endorsement requires only 30 acres, leaving 50 acres available for more building or whatever Mr. Hall intends on doing with the property. I would hope the city would press Mr. Hall on his intentions for all usable land, including any ideas he may have to lease individual plots or tracts. Remember what occurred with AT&T over at Wheatfield Park. I believe Mr. Hall's primary motive in purchasing the property is to make as much money as possible. Impacts to the community are secondary. He has that right, but our homeowners also have a right to exercise, almost in desperation, vigorous pushback and resolve to any and all who will listen. The main reason for being here tonight, I'm asked that the city make available all information coming into the city from ambient communities, beginning with the PAR application. 2, all members on the council You are all in a tough position, squarely in the middle of what can become a long, embittered battle, facing intense public pressure and having to balance it against possible liability. Please don't forget, you are the voice for the people. I'm sure that looking backwards, some in this city would say they wish they never heard the name of Cherry Hills Golf Course. So much time and effort by the city for so many years doing such great work, trying to mitigate and resolve property disputes between frustrated property owners and especially indifferent and oblivious corporate LLC, California Golf and Arts. So
Mr.
much.
August, your time is up.
I have 5 more seconds,
Go
Mayor.
ahead. Go ahead.
You promised me that.
Go
okay?
ahead.
All right.
I heard it was your birthday, so go ahead.
So much work to an end, not what we all hoped for. It now begins again, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. August. We appreciate you coming. Next speaker, please.
Next up is Hugo Divers, followed by Mark Wade.
All right, welcome, Mr. Divers.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for allowing me to speak tonight. I'd like to start off by saying I am a Menifee resident. I am a veteran. I am a community. I'm in the community with the kids. I coach football and baseball, and I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase a home in Menifee, my very first home. So this place is very important to me. So with that being said, yesterday around 2 o'clock. There was a crime that was committed in my community. We know that, calling 911 for minor crimes, I'm not trying to inundate the police with minor crimes. So with that being said, my neighbor provided a video of a van that is very descriptive that committed this crime in my neighborhood. With that being said, I was on my way to pick up my children from school. And I knew that each one of these schools have a police officer there. So what I wanted to do, my intention was to show this police officer a video of the vehicle and just ask if they can keep an eye out for that vehicle and hopefully stop that crime, at least that person from committing that crime in our neighborhood. What I was met with was, and I apologize, let me first start off by saying this. I strongly support my Menifee Police Department. I strongly support law and order. It is very, very intricate and critical for the survival and the flourishment of this new community, right? So what I was met with, unfortunately, was a very unprofessional experience by one of the Menifee police officers yesterday, Officer Horton, or Horner. So I approached the vehicle and Heritage High School. I wanted to give this information to the officer, just to be on my way. Hey, here's the vehicle. Can you guys keep a lookout for it? And I was going to be on my way. The officer was not in his vehicle at the time, so I pulled out, went and got my wife because she had called me because we had things to do after we picked up our children. Got back on Briggs, went past. Noticed that there was a sheriff behind me, flagged that sheriff down because I was going to do the same thing. Hey, check this out. I was met with Officer Horner with his very unprofessional demeanor, with his gun, with his hand over his gun, telling me to stay in my vehicle. I was already engaged with speaking with the sheriff. So at that point in time, he never gave me an opportunity to explain what was going on, and I heard him blatantly lie to that sheriff. Said that I was driving erratically and that I was taking pictures of his cruiser. At the time when I went through that school parking lot, it was parent pickup. So there's no way that I could have been driving through that, and I'm sure that you guys have cameras there. My point here is that my interaction with Officer Horton, or I keep messing up his name, was very unprofessional. I became the criminal. He even told me he's investigating me, started running my plates, doing all of these things, and I didn't even have an opportunity to explain to him what it was that I was trying, and I'm trying to make contact with the police. So he comes out and he asked me about my mental status. He asked me, and then he was really condescending, very unprofessional, very rude. This all could have been avoided by 5 words: How may I help you, sir?
Mr. Divers, your time is up.
Yes, ma'am. And that's all I have to say. Again, I appreciate the time, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you for taking time and sharing with us the incident. All right, Madam Clerk, next speaker,
Mark Wade.
Mr. Wade. All right, welcome.
Good evening. You've heard me speak here before, I think, about the golf course. I live in Del Webb Senior Area. We need to keep that Cherry Hills Golf Course open. It's part of the community. High school teams use the course for their matches, practice. I coach Special Olympics golf, and Charmaine Summers was very nice to me and allowed us to use the facilities there. That being said, the Rees, the previous owners, never sought to upgrade that championship golf course. They simply wanted money out of it. There are buyers who sought to buy the course and wish to keep it a golf course, and for some unknown reason, a $4 million offer was passed over, and the property was sold to Ambient Communities for $3 million. Being a realtor, I could look it up, and I saw that figure, and anyway, so that was very interesting to me. Potable water costs were cited as the reason for the sale by the Rees. Golf courses usually don't use potable water. The water used was non-potable, cheaper. Check the color of the valves on number 18 fairway. There is no way the senior community will vote to change any zoning in our community. I don't believe they will. So the new buyers didn't do their homework. We will fight to keep our senior community, and this company better realize that. The Rees destroyed the North Golf Course, but this company is facing CC&Rs, building restrictions, and covenants that run with the land and are binding for all persons owning these parcels. Unfortunately, time is of the essence. In 4 to 6 months, these 18 greens will be gone, destroyed. Each one is worth $125,000 to replace it. So if we hope to save the course in our communities, these buyers must be made to realize they need to save themselves money and sell the course to the buyers who are waiting to return the land to a golf course. In closing, there is plenty of land in Riverside County and San Bernardino County available for development. They won't even have to destroy any golf courses or destroy any existing communities. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The people in the Sun City Menifee area need your help. We need your help. So anything you guys can do would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Next up is Lupe Jenkins.
Listening to him and saying, good job.
Welcome, Ms. Jenkins.
Hello.
There's a button on the underside that lowers the podium. It's flat up against the top there.
Are you saying I'm short?
Yeah, Bob, you can you show her?
Move. Oh, there it goes.
There you go.
Ooh.
You got it.
Oh, I
Yep.
feel
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight on a subject that affects many lives in Menifee, but is often forgotten by the City Council, our pets. You may initially think this is really not a priority item that needs immediate attention from the council, but you would be wrong. Our residents want and need help to keep their pets home, safe, and alive, but they just don't have the tools to do it. Our current animal shelter is Animal Friends of the Valley in Lake Elsinore, which is a wonderful organization whose staff and volunteers work tirelessly to take care of the animals of Menifee, Canyon Lake, Murrieta, Temecula, Wildemar, and Lake Elsinore. A lot of places. The overall increase in population for those previous cities since 2020 is about 25,801, and Menifee accounts for more than half of this number. And more people means more pets. Here's the annual data from AFV from 2022 for just the city of Menifee. Dogs in, 1132. Dogs put down, 221, or 19%. 19.5%. Cats in, 796. Cats put down, 331, or 41.5%, almost 50%. It's very clear that AFV is suffering greatly from overcrowding, and our animals, along with many others, are losing their lives because of it. Additionally, our local rescues are also running out of space, which will soon result in more Menifee pets dying. The residents of Menifee don't consider their pets as disposable, and the euthanization of 542 Menifee dogs and cats in 1 year is horrific. I'm asking that you please consider the establishment of a committee to investigate and immediately put into action whatever can be done to help our residents' companions via information sharing of low-cost clinics offering spaying-neuter service, shots, chips, vets, services, and tracking collars. City efforts can be supported by nonprofits that can help in many ways, including sharing the myriad of resources available, including pet fairs to help pet owners keep their pets home happy and healthy. Dedicating an information page in Menifee Matters would greatly help toward getting this information out and be a great first step. However, ultimately, a no-kill shelter here in Menifee is desperately needed. I know this is a big ask, and other residents have advised me of the low probability of the city agreeing to do this due to the cost. However, our pets need your help now because they are continuing to die simply because there's no room at the inn.
Ms. Jenkins, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay. Thank you for hearing me today, and hope to hear from you.
Thank you for being here tonight and your good suggestions.
Thank
All right,
you.
Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
Bob Furman.
Welcome, Mr. Furman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and the City Council. I could go on and talk about the golf course also because I live on a golf course, but I got something that's a little bit nearer and dear to my heart, which several members are aware of. I am the commissioner of the Menifee Senior Softball League, and we have been, because of poor facilities, we've had to move. And Valley-wide Recreation, Parks and Recreation, who oversees most of the districts or all of the districts on the east side of the freeway, fortunately for a short period of time moved us out to Diamond Valley Lake, which the facilities are very nice and very good. But we say Menifee Senior Softball on our uniforms. We want to be in Menifee. So I've worked through Jonathan Nick's office. I had a meeting last week with Jeanette about moving our league back to not only the city of Menifee, but City of Menifee Parks, one of the only two parks in the city that has two fields that we can use. We have about approximately 120 people that are age 55 plus, some as many as 80 years old that are still playing very competitive softball, even though it's considered recreation. Valley-wide, for a while, kept their fees very low, and all of a sudden last September we got a letter increasing our fees from $1,000 a year, which is manageable, to over $9,000, almost $10,000 per year. It's very hard for people on Social Security to come up with about $150 or $200 increase just to play softball. Okay, but it is recreation. It provides mental health for people. The socialization is very, very important to all of us. I know the city does a lot of business with Valley-wide, and I know they've tried to get all the parks on one side of the city to have the umbrella cover of the city cover all the parks. I know they've worked on that. They're still working on that. So I would ask that if you have any opportunity in your dealings with Valley-wide, whether with the new proposed recreation building in the north part of the city that Menifee owns the land, I understand, and they want to build a building. Valley-wide wants to build a building on Menifee land. I would suggest you take a quick look at that. Maybe just very simply speaking, say, well, if you want to build this building, maybe better take care of our softball team. So that's only a suggestion. Okay. But I understand. I found out some information today that Valley-wide is a nonprofit, but they pay their general manager over $200,000 a year. And all their land that they have out at Diamond Valley Lake is owned by the water company, and Valley-wide has leased that land where the aquatic center is, the museum, and the softball fields for $1 a year for 100 years. So if they're a nonprofit, they're kind of gouging us jumping in 1 year from $9,000 from $1,000 to $9,900. And if you've seen our presentation
Mr.
on
Furman, your
TV,
time is up.
thank you. Channel 7 News came out and covered us and did a nice expose on us. So appreciate your help and thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks for the update, sir. We appreciate it. All right. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
There are no more requests to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Michael, okay, so maybe Michael Knighton has a speaker slip in?
Okay, Michael Knighton.
This is for non-agenda matters, right? It's non-agenda. All right, I'm just checking. I want to keep you in line, man. Welcome, we're glad you're here, Michael.
I just wanted to update you guys on what I was here 3 weeks ago about. We got good news. First of all, we have an arborist. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. But he reached out to me, took care of the lights over at Hidden Hills, that community. They're on, they're working. Good news there.
Good.
And last Friday, the graffiti I was telling you guys about, that was removed.
Good.
So that's all I wanted to just let you guys know that. So thank you.
Thank you for the update. We appreciate hearing about that, Michael. All right, any other speakers?
No other speakers.
All right, I'm looking around and I don't see any more. All right, we're going to move on our agenda now. We are on council member updates and comments, and I'll start with Councilman Carwin whenever he's ready.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just getting my list pulled up here. So I had the opportunity to see the mayor and some of our officials speak at the Oasis Town Hall. I think most of us were there for that. That was a really informative meeting. As you heard earlier, Ambient Communities is the new owner of the North Course and Cherry Hills Course, and they held an informational meeting at Fairfield Inn that was overflow attended. I know the mayor and Councilman Estrada are both there for that. I attended the Ability Fair that we had, which was a spectacular event. I saw the mayor there and Councilman Dinas. I don't know if anybody showed up later, where we had vendors there giving demonstrations for wheelchair basketball and some adaptive sports, beep softball for vision impaired. And it was just a tremendous event. Meant a lot to me that we had that. And I'll be bringing something up about that in future agenda requests. Just a little preview on that I'll be requesting some sort of adaptive sports camp as in a future agenda item. The mayor and I attended Quilts of Valor, which was a great event where they quilting groups from the area got together and they made quilts to recognize some of our active and retired service members. There were 20 quilts made by the volunteers and handed out. That was a really moving event to be a part of, to see our military members honored like that. I was supposed to attend the WRCOG Executive Committee meeting, but it was canceled due to weather. First time, I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I moved to California so things would not get canceled due to weather. It's the first time I've ever had an indoor event canceled due to weather. That's how bad the rain was. This morning, I attended the Student of the Month program that was put on by the owners of Sizzler out in Paris. And the students honored from Liberty High School was Micah Remick, Paris High School, Ariel Avila, Paris Lake High School, Jason Lopez, Paloma Valley High School, Hoku Nakasone, and Heritage High School, Kaylee Foucher. They were honored. Tremendous stories. Love to do that. That's always one of my favorite things. And the last thing, I just want to give a little update. A couple of years ago, Officer Miller from the police department, her husband and I participated in the reality rally down in Temecula, and we won on behalf of the city of Menifee the city category. And then the following year, it was canceled because the organizer went on a trip to Germany with her husband and decided not to do it. Well, we found out this year she is permanently discontinuing the event. Why am I so excited about that? Because Lake Elsinore won the previous 6 years, but we won last year, and we are the last name on the trophy. So the city of Menifee will be the forever champions of the reality rally. So great job, Officer Miller. Thank you for bringing glory to the city. That's all I got.
Thanks for your good report, Councilman. We'll go to Councilman Estrada now.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see everybody out here and great turnout and participation here in local government. So I'm very happy to see this room filled up. I'll start with that. I'll start off also with the first event that I want to report about is on January 20th, I went to the Menifee Historical Association's presentation on the McCall family. And as many of you residents know, McCall, that's one of our major freeway off-ramps. And the mayor and his wife were in charge of putting on that presentation. And I want everyone to know how hard Mayor Zimmerman works, not just when he's here, but he helps maintain that facility on Sundays, when we're all, still sleeping in. He's making sure to preserve our history. And he gave a great presentation on the McCall family and their contributions to our city. Later on that day, I went on to Marietta, where I represented our city of Menifee, and there was a K-9 support program for veterans, and I want to extend the invitation to anyone here. I would love to be your liaison and introduce you to the right resources. If you know a veteran in need who might benefit from support K-9, I am happy to help you. Later on February 7th, I went to the Cherry Hills Town Hall, and I spent time with my fellow council members and former Councilman Greg August. And I want to let all the seniors know here in attendance, if you didn't get the chance to speak to your council members, we were there, we heard everything, and your voice is being heard. Later on, after that, I went to Coffee with a Cop with our Menifee PD. They were at Home Goods, and I went out there to show some moral support for our police department. And that is all I got. I'll pass the baton.
All right, very good report. Thank you. Councilmember Stoback.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's good to see everyone here. I'd like to start off with a little picture here. There we go. You've heard people talk about this. This was the Oasis HOA Town Hall meeting, and Chief Carr did a great presentation. Gina Gonzalez was loved. She talked about economic development in the city. Everybody loved to hear that. And then our mayor just does a great job doing presentations. And so it was great. Gloria Sanchez, who lives in the Oasis and is our senior advisory chair, put on this great town hall meeting and their HOA. So great information for those people. As Councilmember Carwin said, I had a meeting at RCA on Monday, and it was canceled in Riverside downtown due to the weather. So I was unable to attend that. This week I've attended actually several meetings with residents and possible new businesses that are coming into the city. And that's all I have for tonight.
All right, great report. Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On January 24th, I attended RTA's T-Now, the Southwest T-Now, and this year I'll be serving as the chair for that committee. On the 25th, I attended the grand opening of Animal Friends of the Valley low-cost spay and neuter clinic that they raised the funds and built themselves with no public dollars. On the 30th, and kudos to Gloria back there. I see her back there, our professional volunteer back here. Attended the Oasis State of the City. It was well attended. And it was great to be able to share what's going on with the city with that community. And then on the 3rd of February, I also attended the adaptive sports event at Spirit Park. It was really enjoyable. I got to meet some new folks and stuff, and some Special Olympians, so that was kind of fun. And then today I attended the RTA Admin and Operations Committee meeting, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mine's not that long this time. This is since our last meeting, January 17th. On Thursday, the 18th, I attended the Neighbors Monthly Business Mixer in Wildemar. On Saturday, the 20th, as Councilmember Estrada mentioned, there was a history program for the McCall family, and it was just neat to learn so much about those Menifee farmers who own the land just north of Menifee Lakes, farmed that all through the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and then the McCalls were father and son, both county supervisors here in covering this, representing this area. So McCall Boulevard at one time was called Grand Avenue, and they renamed that exit after the family. Thank you, Councilman Estrada, for your kind words and for being there, too. It shows that you care about your community. I really appreciate that. All right, on Monday, the 22nd, I attended the Western Riverside County Projects and Programs Committee meeting. That's an ad hoc committee under RCTC. On Wednesday, the 24th, there was a chamber business mixer at the Breakfast Club during the day. And then that night, there was a ribbon cutting at Exquisite Tapas, and I encourage you guys to go and check that out. It is kind of a cool place. It's right there at Shops at Scott. On Thursday, the 25th, and Friday, the 26th, I was out in Palm Springs. It was RCTC's annual workshop and conference. I do want to report to the council members that there was direction given by the majority of the commission to begin the first phase of Highway 74 corridor. It's going to be a county project instead of a and I said 74, I mean 79. It's going to be a county-led project instead of a state project. And it goes from about Dominigoni Parkway, and there's 3 segments, and they approved working on the first segment getting started. I don't know if you guys remember CTAP corridor and all those things were happening in the 90s and the early 2000s. So this is finally something coming to fruition, and it'll help move traffic north and south through that area. The second and third phases, I spoke and gave encouragement that the RCTC Commission make a commitment to get those done as well. Otherwise, we're going to be funneling a bunch of traffic into surface streets in Hemet, and they're just going to be feeling the brunt of it. So we want to make sure that that gets done right. All right, and if you have any questions on that, I'm happy to share with you. I even have materials on it. All right, on the January 30th, there was the Oasis Town Hall. Gloria's here. Thank you for hosting that, Gloria. There was well over 100 people, maybe 200, that attended. And it's great to have a community like the Oasis that cares and wants to be updated. And so thank you to Gina and to Jonathan Nix and our Chief Carr for being there as well to provide updates specific to their areas of expertise. On Thursday, the 1st of February, I attended the You Matter collaboration meeting, and things are going well with that. On Friday, the 2nd, I did join my council members for the Ambient Communities, hosted the event over at Fairfield to give residents the opportunity to come and share their thoughts and meet the new owners and give their opinions on it. And that's really where those opinions need to go today, to the actual property owner. If the opinions come to us, I mean, we're good listeners, but right now the plans are being made by a developer, and they're the ones who should hear from the public first. All right. On Saturday the 2nd, there was the Adaptive Sports Fair, and I know Councilman Carwin and Mayor Pro Tem Dinas and I were there with the team, and I just wanted to throw a little extra thanks to Sheila Lawton because I know she's kind of the driving force behind that, and I saw her working hand in hand with all of those young people that were there enjoying that event, and she just has a heart of gold, and so thank you. Hats off to Sheila. As Councilman Carwin mentioned, that same day on Saturday, there was the Quilts of Valor, and it was just neat to see 30 vets cloaked with red, white, and blue quilts that were handmade, and it just showed love and appreciation to those. There was a gentleman who served in World War II. He was in his 90s, and he cried right in front of everybody. You could just tell when that quilt gets cloaked over him, he just melted like butter, and it was great. I'm getting choked up thinking about it. So anyway, great event. That's the end of my updates. If anyone has anything else to share, hearing none, we're going to move on our agenda. We are on item 9 now. This is the approval of the minutes from November 15th, 2023. If there's no changes by the council members, can we get an all in favor? Would you please say aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, those minutes are approved, and we're on our consent calendar now, item 10. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a council member requests a separate action on a specific item on the calendar. If it's removed from the consent calendar, it'll be discussed individually and acted upon separately. So with that, first, before we pull anything, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on our consent calendar items?
No, not on the consent calendar items. No one's requested to speak.
Okay, thank you. Council members, do we have any items that we'd like to pull for separate discussion? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar, please?
So, second?
All right, Councilmember Dynas moved, seconded by Sobek. Touchdown, San Diego.
I apologize. There we
All right,
go.
here we go. And I see that that is passed unanimously, so we're now on item 11. This is our public hearing items, and I believe we have one, and that is the Menifee Valley Specific Plan. So I will turn it over to our Community Development Director, Ms. Kitzrow.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. My name is Cheryl Kitzrow. I'm the Community Development Director, and I will be presenting this public hearing item for you tonight on the Menifee Valley Specific Plan.
Cheryl, can you get a little closer to it?
Is that better?
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure. So the project under consideration this evening is located in the northeast portion of the city. The project boundaries are shown outlined in the dashed red. That is the area of the proposed Menifee Valley Specific Plan. And then the area outlined in yellow is the current boundary of the existing Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan, number 301. And we'll get into more detail on the different nuances there. The project site is bound on the north by Highway 74, on the west by Menifee Road, on the south by the Matthews Road right-of-way and the BNSF rail right-of-way, and then on the east by Briggs Road. The current zoning and general plan designations for the project site is Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan. So there are 6 entitlement applications that we will be discussing this evening. The first is a general plan amendment to change the city's land use map from Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan designation to Menifee Valley Specific Plan. To a specific plan amendment to remove that top portion that was outlined in the previous map in the red dash line from the existing Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan or County Specific Plan number 301. A change of zone, again, to do the same thing and change the zoning designation to match the land use designation of Menifee Valley Specific Plan. A specific plan to adopt a separate and distinct new Menifee Valley Specific Plan. A tentative tract map to subdivide the property into 11 parcels for conveyance purposes and to allow for mass grading of the project site. And then a development agreement which identifies the applicant's obligations and outlines terms and commitments associated with the project approvals. So I'll start with a little bit of background on the project. Goes back to 1997 when the County of Riverside approved the Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan number 301. There was also approvals for 2 tract maps. Both have since expired, but we have exhibits here just to show what had been previously approved on the project site. The Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan 301 would allow for up to 1,700 residential units to be developed on the project site. Then, when the city incorporated quite some time later. In 2018, the applicant submitted a specific plan amendment and specific plan on the project site. The initial proposals back in 2018 were ultimately withdrawn and differ from what we're going to see tonight. So in June 2021, the new applications for the specific plan were submitted to the city for review. And these illustratives are to show you the evolution of the project components. When the original specific plan proposal was submitted, it included only the business park uses in blue, and then the preservation of the southeastern corner of the site, Granite Hill. And then you could see the introduction over time of some residential shown in the yellow, and then additional residential in the yellow with a school site, with a public facility site, with some paseo buffers along the southern boundary, and with commercial along Highway 74. So this is the evolution, and then the project ultimately to be presented to you tonight looks like this from a land use plan perspective. There are, the project site is 590 acres, proposes 13 different planning areas, maximum build out of 1,718 residential uses in the southeast portion of the site. And that number 1718, that, as you may recall, I mentioned the underlying or original specific plan 301 allows for that. So due to state law, we have to maintain that number with the new plan. It's a no net loss SB 330, so 1718 is the magic residential number to be consistent with the original plan. The light blue areas, planning area 10 and 11 are industrial business park. Planning area 12 is commercial business park. The purple areas, planning areas 13, are commercial areas. In the southwest corner of the site, planning area 9, that is a public facility site. We anticipate that to be built out as a fire station and could also include other public facilities, whether that be a park and ride or a transit stop. That'll be up to the city at a future time. Planning areas 8A and 8B at the southern portion, southern boundary are paseo and greenbelt buffers. There is a 16-acre public sports park in planning area 7A, and then planning area 7B, again, is open space conservation to be preserved in perpetuity. So the proposed Menifee Valley specific plan is a policy document, and the specific plan includes seven different sections, and the goals of the specific plan are included in the document. And one of the primary goals of the document is to implement the general plan to provide a contemporary mixed-use community that balances housing needs and community amenities with job-producing businesses. It's designed so businesses can prosper and attract economic investment. We are concentrating the residential uses in the southeast area of the site. We physically are separating the residential and business park uses. Public facilities are being included with the plan. There is a comprehensive circulation network. Infrastructure improvements would be included with the implementation of the plan. And then there are architectural and design standards included with the plan as well. So this exhibit is included in the specific plan, but it is a conceptual, illustrative site plan only. We asked the applicant to provide this so it could be used as a test case of how the specific plan could develop in the long term, and to confirm that the development standards, the uses, the planning areas all work together at build-out. So this exhibit here illustrates the circulation plan and circulation improvements for the project site. There would be frontage improvements along all of the frontages of the project, Highway 74, Menifee Road, and Briggs Road. Truck access and circulation for the business park would occur at the blue starred areas, so Menifee Road along the western project boundary at McLaughlin, and then McLaughlin Road would be extended to the west to connect to Matthews and Case, or trucks could also go north on Menifee Road to access Highway 74. An additional truck access point would be along the Highway 74 and Malaga intersection. McLaughlin Road is a circulation element road that traverses the project site from east to west. Trucks could access that road as well as residential passenger vehicles. However, I do want to point out there is a green circle right at McLaughlin and the orange squiggly, we call that the residential spine road that runs north-south. There will be a roundabout there, so as to prohibit trucks from traversing eastward to either exit the site at Briggs Road, or if they were trying to enter on Briggs Road, that would be prohibited. And then the residential circulation network, the access points are all off of Briggs Road with the yellow stars there. And then you could see we've got an internal residential spine road, that orange squiggly line north and south, and then additional access points running east-west to connect through the residential area to get to Briggs Road. Excuse me. As part of the project, there are conditions for off-site roadway improvements that are shown on this exhibit here in purple. There are also off-site utility improvements that are shown in red. As noted above, McLaughlin Road would be extended to the west to connect to Matthews Case Road, and improvements would also be constructed on Matthews and Case Road to accommodate truck and passenger vehicle trips. And then the project would also be constructing McCall Boulevard, widening it in areas where it isn't already fully improved. And those McCall improvements are primarily to accommodate the additional passenger vehicle trips. No trucks are anticipated to travel south on Menifee Road or to use McCall. These exhibits illustrate the pedestrian circulation throughout the specific plan, as well as the bicycle circulation throughout the specific plan. Also of note, there is RTA bus service along Highway 74. So when a project is constructed in Planning Area 13, we anticipate an additional bus turnout to be constructed. And then with the bicycle and pedestrian network, you could see there is a connection of green belts, sidewalks, bike lanes, trails to ensure that there's connectivity throughout and around the project site. There also is a proposed pedestrian or non-vehicular bridge that would connect this project to the Heritage Lake Project Sports Park and Paseos to the south, and I'll give you more detail on that on the next slide. That pedestrian bridge is illustrated with a square shape on the southern boundary of the map. So in the pedestrian map, it's yellow, and in the bicycle map, it's red. So the pedestrian bridge is proposed to connect the two communities. It would allow for that pedestrian or bike connectivity to access the parks in both communities, and more importantly, to get the students to Heritage High School, which is not in the project site, but at the really the northeast corner, just outside the project site at Briggs and Highway 74. And it overcomes that disconnected barrier that the rail right-of-way represents. As I mentioned earlier, there is a civic parcel. It is located along the Menifee Road frontage at the southwest corner of the project site. It is a little over 5 acres. It will be dedicated to the city. And the developer would be providing the city with a graded pad with frontage improvements and utilities so that the city could we anticipate constructing a fire station on the property, and then with the additional land area that's up to future use. The community also includes agri-commercial area. It is anticipated that there could be a small urban farm located along the south side of Heritage High School on the Briggs Roadside, more adjacent to the residential. It is anticipated to complement the past historical barns and uses of the project site with some contemporary adaptations when a structure is built. This is within the residential portion of the project site. This is a private community rec center in planning area 2. This would be an HOA maintained facility. It does include a tot lot, open lawn area, swimming pools with shade structures, restrooms, and landscaping. Also in the residential portion of the project site in planning area 6, there is a 12-acre site set aside for an elementary school. The developer has worked with the Romoland School District on identifying the best location for the school, and this is part of the proposal. In addition to the private HOA community rec center that I mentioned a few slides ago, there is also a almost 17-acre public sports park and aquatic facility proposed as part of this project in the southeast portion of the property. The park would include a playground, ball fields, tennis and pickleball courts, concession stand with restrooms, a picnic area, parking lot, and then an aquatic facility with a junior Olympic pool and splash pad. Just adjacent and south to that public park property would be planning area 7B. It would be designated as open space conservation, would be preserved from future development, but include trails to allow for some outdoor uses, but no development would be proposed as part of this piece of property. The specific plan also includes requirements to address the edge conditions and compatibility between different land uses. I'll give 3 different examples of some of the cross sections that are included in the specific plan to illustrate the attention that was paid between those uses and the buffering. So there are over 13 acres of green belts and trails in the 2 paseos along the project's southern border. These provide for a visual buffer between the existing Heritage Lake community, the rail right-of-way, and the development in the proposed project. This particular cross-section that you're seeing here is taken at Paseo 8A and adjacent to the business park. So you can see there is a multi-purpose trail in the Paseo area. Then there is some landscaping, detention basins, and then planning area 10 further to the right on the screen, which is business park. The next edge condition I wanted to highlight is a condition between the business park and the residential to offer visual and physical buffers. It will include tightly spaced evergreen trees. It will include a landscaped berm. There will be a solid wall between the 2 uses. And then the specific plan does include additional setbacks to ensure that the residential buildings are no more than 100 feet or a minimum of 100 feet from that property line. And then on the business park side, there is a requirement that there would be no loading docks facing the residences as well. And then the third buffer I wanted to highlight here is a buffer between planning area 12, which is commercial business park, planning area 13, and Heritage High School. This cross-section is adjacent to the high school where the ball fields are and where the proposed commercial areas could occur. Again, We've got an 87-foot landscape buffer on the project side, a wall at the project boundary, 100-foot separation between any truck courts that would be proposed and the property line to the high school, and then again, the restriction that loading docks cannot face the high school. The specific plan as part of the architecture and design standards includes concepts for entry monumentation. The slide here illustrates 3 options for the residential entries that would occur off Briggs, and then some smaller scale entry monuments at some of the secondary entries. All of the entries would include upsized trees at 36-inch box minimums. And then at the bottom part of the slide, an illustrative of the business park commercial entry monumentation that would occur at the blue stars in previous slides at State Route Highway 74 in Malaga, and then Menifee Road and McLaughlin Road. The specific plan also includes architectural guidelines to provide examples of the level and style of architectural detailing that would be anticipated with future implementing projects. So these are some images of the residential architectural guidelines. We also have standards and examples in there for industrial business park type buildings and for the commercial areas. The specific plan also includes a phasing section to talk about the order of development. The phasing plan is conceptual. Some of the construction could occur concurrently, but any construction would be required to comply with the improvements that would be required at each phase. So on the illustrative, you could see the phase 1 is anticipated in the light blue. Includes planning area 11 and 12 for the business park and commercial business park. And then the residential planning areas 1 and 2, as well as that community sports park and aquatic center in 7A, and the trails in 7B open space. And Paseo 8A. Phase 2 is anticipated and shown in the green, more along the center of the project site. And phase 3 is shown in the bright green along Highway 74. I will note that the development agreement does refine some of this phasing to advance some of these components, particularly the portions of planning area 13 where there's the retail commercial. And we'll get into that in a few slides. The project applications also includes that tentative tract map to subdivide the property into 11 larger lots. The lot lines generally conform to the proposed planning areas, with the residential planning areas just being one large lot in this proposed map. So the development agreement. The proposed development agreement includes a term of 15 years with an option for an additional 5-year extension subject to the completion of 75,000 square feet of the commercial. There is no proposal to freeze development impact fees, but there is considerations to allow for fee credits once improvements are constructed. Again, the dedication of that public facility site with utilities available and the frontage improvements constructed. A cash contribution of $10 million to allow for the city to construct a fire station on that public facility site. The sports park and aquatic center. There are specific timing criteria identified in the development agreement to make sure that that is advanced in its construction. The pedestrian bridge is included as a component of the development agreement with timing criteria associated with it. I do want to point out it is the design would be required prior to the first occupancy and completion by the 250th building permit. That's residential building permit. But there is an exception. That pedestrian bridge does require permits and approvals from outside agencies that we don't necessarily have control. We will diligently pursue it. But because there's a benefit associated with that bridge of $3.9 million, If the bridge doesn't work out, we would capture that $3.9 million to use towards the McCall Boulevard improvements. There are timing requirements for the construction of the Paseo that are a little bit advanced and different than what was just in that conceptual phasing plan. Timing that the private rec center, the HOA facility, would be done prior to the first residential occupancy, so when that first homeowner moves in. Advanced completion timing for the retail commercial, a portion of it to come on board earlier than what the phasing plan had shown. The development agreement does include a provision to allow for administrative approvals for subsequent projects. So the proposal you have in front of you is for the specific plan document. It doesn't include plot plans for the business park buildings or the commercial center or track maps or layout of the residential components. All of those are considered implementing projects. The development agreement would allow for those projects as long as they're consistent with the specific plan and the sizes shown in that conceptual illustrative site plan and don't need additional CEQA, don't need variances or conditional use permits, that those would be approved administratively. There is the caveat that should the city manager or the community development feel that a project would rise to the level of significance that we want to take it to the planning commission, we have that ability. We reserve that right. Also included in the development agreement are transportation improvements, most notably the construction of improvements along McCall Road. The developer is only responsible for 37% of the improvements necessary, but they're going to pay, they're going to construct the full improvements, and then we would be obliged to reimburse that 63% that is above and beyond what they're required to do. And the development agreement defines where those funds could be, those reimbursement funds could come from. Those could be from the regional TUMP fund, premiums from CFDs for projects in that area. And then the city does have about $5.5 million from a previously approved battery energy storage facility community benefit agreement. Those funds had not been allocated, but those would be available through the DA as the last remaining component if needed for the reimbursement. The DA also includes provisions for timing of other frontage improvements, frontage and offsite improvements, diff credits and reimbursements, and then fair share contribution tables. The fair share contribution payments are about $4.7 million. In total, the development agreement includes over $35 million of additional public benefit that wouldn't come without the DA. So, getting into our environmental determination and compliance with CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. Back in the spring of 2022 is when we started that process with a notice of preparation and a scoping meeting. An EIR was prepared. Mitigation measures are included for those categories that you see there. There are some categories that, based on the environmental analysis, would result in significant and unavoidable impacts, even with the implementation of mitigation measures. Excuse me, that's a lot of talking. In the categories of air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, land use and planning, and transportation. CEQA does give us the ability to allow for those significant and unavoidable impacts with mitigation to move forward with the adoption of statement of overriding considerations. Basically, making statements that the benefits of the project outweigh those environmental impacts that can't be fully mitigated. And as part of the project details, you have statement of overriding consideration that the project includes employment generating uses, significant circulation improvements, infrastructure investments, sales and property tax increases. I won't read them all, but they're listed here, all associated with the project proposal. So when we issued our draft EIR and circulated it for the required 45 public review, we did receive 7 comment letters. As part of the final EIR, we did include responses to all of those. And then after the public comment period ended, we received additional comments from Mitchell Sy Law Firm. The comment letter that we received from them prior to the Planning Commission meeting raised concerns. Most recently, in your folders tonight is a letter of support. We also received standard comments from Riverside Flood Control, Ms. Angela Little, and then the City of Paris. There are also letters of support in the package, and then in your red folders also is a new letter of support from the Economic Development Coalition. I do also want to note that in your blue folders received late this afternoon was an additional letter from the City of Paris. The project has been presented several times before this evening. It was presented to the Parks, Recs, and Trails Commission December 7th, the Finance Committee for the Development Agreement on December 12th. The developer did have a community meeting with the Heritage Lake community on December 13th. And then on January 10th, the Planning Commission did review the project and unanimously recommend that the City Council approve the project. They did encourage the developer to work with staff and the EDC to attract businesses to allow for a variety of sizes. And then they did also request that a berm be added in those edge conditions between the business park and the residential uses. And I did show the exhibit with that berm on it. I do want to note, let me just go back to this slide. In your staff report, under the description of the Parks, Recs, and Trails meeting, there was a total acreage noted. There was an acreage noted, and it said it was for the sports park. That acreage is actually the total open space acreage that would be used to satisfy the project's Quimby obligations. There is a red line version and a memo in your red folders just to explain that clarification. So with that, these are the recommendations for this evening, and I think Mr. Melching would like to.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. As Cheryl mentioned, we got a letter today from the City of Paris. I think it's their third or fourth in this process at 4:18 in the afternoon. Well, we were all in that special meeting, and then since then been in the normal City Council meeting. Staff has taken a look at all of the items that are in the Paris letter, believe that they are all adequately addressed and good answers to every one of those questions, but also believe that it makes sense to document those answers prior to completing the final actions on this project. And with that in mind, have spoken to the developer and come up with a suggested course of action that's slightly different than the original recommended actions. What we would do is we'd act on the 2 ordinances tonight. There's an ordinance that relates to the approval of the development agreement, that's action item number 5. And there's an ordinance that relates to the zone change and the specific plan amendment and the specific plan adoption, and that's action number 3. We take those are both first readings, as you know. They come back for second readings on February 21st. Then we would take action item number 1, which is the certification of the EIR, action item number 2, which is the general plan amendment, and action item number 4, which is the tentative track map. And we would continue those tonight and then act on them on February 21st, so that all 5 actions are finally resolved on February 21st. The finish line is the same, it's just the order of operations is slightly different. So to summarize, our revised recommendation to you tonight is that you act only on the 2 ordinances, action items numbers 3 and 5 tonight, and continue items numbers 1, 2, and 4.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Melching. We appreciate the update. All right, council members, what we're going to do is ask any questions of staff we won't discuss yet. And then I'll open the public hearing, and I'm going to give the opportunity for the applicant to introduce himself if he'd like to and his team. Then we'll take public testimony and then give the applicant another opportunity to respond to any of the comments that are made. So let's go ahead and do it in that order. We'll start first with questions of staff, no discussion. First in the queue is Bob Carwin.
Thank you very much. Could we please put up, I think it's slide number 8. It's the second background slide. I don't know if the cover page counts as a slide or not. Not that one. There we go. That's exactly it. So my question here, my questions I'm going to actually limit to zoning. First of all, I'd like to ask the city attorney, with regard to, I think it's SB 6, which is the law that permits a developer to build affordable housing on a commercial plot over the objections of the city. Do I have that right? Yeah. Okay, so couple of different parts of the question. Zoning number 11, parcel area number 11, planning area number 11 rather, says business park. Would that be subject to SB 6? Is business park zoning part of that list?
I'm going to have to look at SB 6. Maybe you can go on to another question, and I'll try and get an answer to that.
Well, the reason let me tell you the reason that I'm asking.
Okay.
It's my understanding, I did a little bit of research, but I haven't done legislative research, that it wouldn't apply. And then planning area 12 is commercial business park, and since it's got the C element of it, that would absolutely apply. So in the interest of protecting our ability to control the use of the land, I wonder if there's any definitions we can change in our zoning code that would allow 11 to be an exempt zoning, so that way a future buyer who, I mean, the current applicant isn't requesting any of this, but I'm looking down the line at a future use, who would come in and say, hey, great opportunity to apply SB 6 right there. We'll drop in 17 apartment buildings next to the high school. I'm curious about that, because if business park applies to SB 6, then this is all moot. But if business park is exempt and this one is commercial business park, is there a tweak we can do to the zoning to allow this to be straight business park or business park light or something else that takes it out of that language?
Councilmember Carwin, I'm taking a look right now.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to my next question, which isn't legal. It's a legal question, but it doesn't have a legal matter to it. Moving down to 8A, it's my understanding that that green belt is about 90 feet wide.
Conceptually speaking, yes.
Right. So, and 90 feet's about a little bit longer than corner to corner in this room here. So, what is the status of the BNSF train track that runs right behind that?
Councilmember Carwin, that is no longer a BNSF rail corridor. That is now an RCTC rail corridor. We did reach out to RCTC to get their input on if and when a light rail system would be extended through there, and they did not say in the foreseeable future they do not have plans, but it would ultimately or could ultimately be a light rail transit corridor.
So if IT could move forward 2 slides, please, to the illustrative site plan. There we go. So down here we see that residential component, which is adjacent to that area, and we see that one line of houses. What I'm concerned about, and if you could help me out here understanding, if that line was revived as a commuter train line, we've got houses 90 feet from the train tracks. That seems really close, and potential for peril based on some things that have happened with trains. I just wonder why we think that's okay for residences to be that close to the train tracks, as opposed to, and I'll just finish my thought, as opposed to extending out however long the is that 8B is wider right through here I don't know how many homes that would make. Does that make it not pencil? I don't know what that does to the overall project, but I have a concern about allowing zoning for residential that essentially abuts a train track.
Thank you, council member. So this site plan that you're seeing here is completely illustrative. There are no subdivision maps associated with the project components tonight. All of that future work to lay out the residential lots will come later.
So would we have the authority, and maybe this would help me end this topic, would we have the authority if 5 years, 6 years down the road, we get a plot plan that is laid out like this, we can say no to that strip of houses on that ground, or would they be permitted to do that since it's zoned residential? Like, could we require that to be open space backyard or something?
We couldn't change the designation later, but it would come down to design review. The tract map design and lot layout becomes a discretionary action that we could work with the developer to address the concerns that you're bringing up today.
So we would still have the ability to create a larger space between the train tracks and a residential housing wall in the future?
We would through the subdivision map process, yes. And if I may add, in addition to the paseo that's on the project site, there also is road right-of-way for Matthews Road, what would have been Matthews Road, it won't be, of an additional 30 feet. So there is a little bit more area there before you hit the train tracks.
It's actually 60.
60 feet, I'm sorry. So a little bit wider, but I hear your concern, and yes, we would have the ability through the tentative map review process to address those concerns.
So I guess, so allowing this current zoning map gives us more flexibility or less, as opposed to requiring them to widen 8A or 8B, whatever one that is?
We have the flexibility in the future because there is no
Got it.
subdivision map now.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we weren't going to end up having to have I know that's not a plot plan, but I just want to make sure that they don't use it as support in the future. We're saying, hey, this was the illustrative plan. We're going to go with that as the plot plan, and everybody seemed cool with it. I want to make sure that whoever listens to this in the future knows that I'm not cool with it. All right, that's all I had. Thanks for technical questions.
All right, a question from Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
I think just a couple of them. You know, we're going to be extending McLaughlin all the way to Menifee, and you had the blue circle there showing that's where for trucks to use. What will prevent the trucks from turning left and going down Menifee to McCall? Because the goal is to have them go right up to 74 and across, correct?
Correct, Councilmember Dinas. The design will work towards, through the design final engineering aspect of the project, to restrict trucks from turning south down Menifee through various signage, turning movements. They will instead, in lieu, go directly west across Menifee to Matthew Case Road. So the developer will be extending McLaughlin straight across to Case Matthews.
Okay, thank you. One other thing, I know it's conceptual, but on the picture, on one of the drawings here, we have the bridge up by R2 and closer to the 10B. You know, to me, it doesn't seem to serve the residents well. With the intent is to be able to allow residents on either side to get to the parks, and why that wouldn't be shifted down to, let me put my glasses on, what, 7A in that area there, unless there's some kind of something that restricts it. That would be, to me, be more beneficial to the residents.
During final engineering, we will definitely look at that. The issue with the length, the distance it would be required in order for us to build a ramp up to get up and over the railroad crossing and then come back down. We had to find a spot where we can gradually, less than 5%, go up 20-something feet to be able to clear over the top of the future railroad trains and then come back down. But definitely something we can look at in final engineering to try to shorten that distance and look for a landing spot on both the north and south sides of the track.
Great, I appreciate that, thanks. That's all I have, thanks.
Question from Councilmember Sobek.
Thank you, Mayor. So similar question that Mayor Pro Tem Dinas had. McCall, you mentioned in your presentation it's anticipated no trucks will be going on McCall. Can we change that verbiage, and what can we do? I've seen in other cities no trucks over so many tons. So is there verbiage of that in the?
That's definitely something we'll be working through final engineering as we move forward, but the trucks will not be going that direction. So the anticipated was they would be going either to 74 or McLaughlin to Matthew Case to Ethanak.
Okay.
And the environmental analysis and the traffic study studied those routes, not McCall.
Okay. And we will make sure that there's signage and et cetera. Okay, thank you.
Question from Councilmember Estrada.
Yes, thank you. I was looking at the original county entitlements, and I'm looking at the new site plan, and I noticed it wasn't a perfect match. Planning area 13C was missing from the county entitlements. Did they acquire more land, or it's not a perfect match?
Yeah, so in the existing specific plan 301 planning area, it isn't called 13C, it's called a different planning area, but you see that it's not included in these maps because the underlying was for very high density residential. So that would have been an apartment site. That's why it wasn't included in the single family tract maps that were previously approved by the county and have since expired.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, I understand there was a golf course included in the previous plan. Can somebody answer to how big that golf course was planned for initially?
I don't have those specifics. You could see on the tract map, the southern tract map here on the bottom right of the screen, how the lots are laid out. It is laid out around what could have been a golf course.
Okay, yeah, I see that. Got it, thank you. And in the previous entitlement, how many square feet was each home? And now to this new site plan, how many square feet is each home? Because it looks like now homes are being traded for warehouses and commercial.
Are you talking about home building square feet or?
Yeah, yep.
We don't have that information because it's still at a policy level. There are no the tracts aren't being proposed tonight, and the home sizes are not being proposed tonight.
Got it. And just so the public is aware, warehouses were not included in the original site plan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, Madam Clerk, well, first, let me just open the public hearing right now. It's 7:50. Madam Clerk, was this legally noticed?
Yes, it was.
Do we have any correspondence on this agenda item?
Yes, in your
Okay.
red folders, yes.
Red folder, thank you. And so what I'm going to do is, this is probably a good opportunity to ask the applicant to come to the podium, introduce himself and his team. And if you want to add anything to the presentation, it was a pretty comprehensive presentation and covered most of the things. But Mr. Bartlett, maybe you might want to share a little bit from your heart about this project.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a few notes here. Mr. Mayor, excuse me, members of the City Council, my name is Dave Bartlett, representing Brookfield Properties, and we're glad to be here tonight. It's been a long journey. We appreciate everyone's time in reviewing the application and the proposal for Menifee Valley. Thank you. A couple of comments. As community planners and developers and builders, our team has planned and we've developed and we've built many master plan communities in Southern California. And this includes the flagship community in Riverside County that we have. It's the Audie Murphy Ranch. And one of the things that we really try to focus on and try to do really well as an organization is we always try to improve. And so when we look back at Audie Murphy, and when we look back at Ontario where we built Spencer's Crossing down the street, the Groves in Whittier that some of you visited, we look through the lens of what we did well, we look through the lens of what the community loves, and we look through the lens of what can we improve upon. And with Menifee Valley, I think we will have a new community with housing, with commerce, with amenities that will be the beneficiary of our experiences over the last several years. Also, when I look back about 3 years ago when we started, the proposal was solely a Brookfield proposal, but as we continued to have discussions with the city through the entirety of the process, things changed. And through our dialogue with the city, as an example, and you saw this in the staff report, the footprint for the business park was reduced. The retail component was added. The sports park and the pedestrian bridge and retail center were included. We have a more balanced residential plan, and some of the off-site work, as mentioned, will get done sooner rather than later. So the plan was really co-created, including up to about 60 to 90 days ago when we were asked to reconsider the public facility and the funding of the fire station, which we did. So I'm very proud of the collaboration that our team had with the city, and I believe our team is here tonight. I believe they would agree that it has resulted in a more balanced plan, a more appropriate plan, and a plan that can still deliver the strong economic and fiscal benefits to the city in the short term as well as the long term. So would like to take a minute to thank the city staff, including the city manager's office, Ms. Kitzrow, Mr. Fiddler, Mr. Fowler, Mr. Herron, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Nix, the LSA consulting team. I may have missed Mr. City Attorney. On behalf of the Brookfield team, we do appreciate you so very much, and we look forward to the implementation phase of the project if the council decides to move this forward this evening. For the record, we are in agreement with the staff report, the conditions of approval, the mitigation measures, and the requirements of the development agreement. A couple of final thoughts. I'd like to thank Councilman Dinas for encouraging us to host a community meeting with the Heritage Lake HOA. That was, probably over a month ago now. That went very well, so we appreciate that. I'd like to thank the Chamber and the South County EDC for their support and allowing us to present the project to their constituents. We have a strong sustainability components associated with the project. They didn't really get highlighted here, but one of them is with EMWD, which we will be working with them on their Brackish Well project. I believe Mr. Worth might be here tonight. If he's not, he was here at the Planning Commission. He can address it in more detail, but I can summarize it and say with their proposal, with the 2 brackish wells to be on the property, we'll be able to offset about 5,000 homes worth of potable water. So it becomes a solid sustainability aspect of the project. And during the Planning Commission hearing, we talked a little bit about the sports park and some of the more detailed components of the sports park. The commissioners were particularly interested and supportive of the efforts here. One thing to note, we are planning a children's tot lot, but it won't be a typical tot lot. We wanted to do something different and something to fill a need. And so this tot lot will be universally accessible and specifically designed for kids on the autism spectrum, focusing on elements of sight, touch, sound, and smell. We're calling it an adventure playground and sensory garden, and we're not sure, but we think it might be the first of its kind in Riverside County. And finally, we've worked cooperatively with our neighbor, the Paris Union High School District. I believe Candace is here this evening as well. We've been working with her and her staff to make sure that we have the appropriate separation of uses between the two properties. Our interface is appropriate. We've been talking with them for the last couple of years, and I believe we've addressed all of their comments. So for now, that includes my comments and our team's comments. We're available for questions should there be any that come up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bartlett. We're going to go ahead and take public testimony now. And then at the end of that, Mr. Bartlett will, if you want to, you can address some of those comments that may come up, all right?
Thank you.
So with that, Madam Clerk, would you please call anyone who's filled out a speaker slip to give testimony?
First up is Ruben Ortiz, followed by Tony Bolanos.
All right, welcome, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Zimmerman and City Council. My name is Ruben Ortiz. I'm in support of the Menifee Valley Specific Plan Project. This project is not only 6.5 million square feet of warehouse, but it also features 1,718 housing units, an elementary school, sports park, trails, and much more. This is creating an entire community. This goes beyond public benefits. This is how you improve society. More jobs, more houses, more education, and even physical activities for families like sports. This builds and strengthens the society. Please vote for our local families and approve this project. Once again, thank you for your valuable time, and may God bless you and your family.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Appreciate that. Next speaker, please. If you
Tony
don't mind- Yeah, please state your name again, sir.
Tony Bolaños. My name is, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Tony Bolaños, and I'm speaking in favor of the Menifee Valley Specific Plan Project. When developers bring nearly 6.5 million square feet of distribution, shipping, transportation, and logistics jobs to our city, we should greet them with gratitude. Workers need places to be employed. Brookfield Properties is an asset to this city and to our working families. Please approve this project. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bolaños. Next speaker.
Wanye McDonald.
All right, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Wanye McDonald, and I'm speaking in favor of the project here before us. The community is extremely grateful for these type of opportunities that bring in generational wealth. A project this massive allows for people to help assist with billions of dollars worth of revenue for our community over there in their children's lifetime. With that many entry-level warehouse employees, it really creates a lot of space for supervisorial leadership. These type of positions are transferable over the nation, and these are the type of opportunities that our community needs. And so we just ask that you would approve the project. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
All right, thank you, Mr. McDonald. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Zach Strasters.
All right, welcome, Mr. Strasters.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight? So first of all, my name is Zach, and I'm with CARE California. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your diligence and attention. And I want to point out 3 specific things with this project. First of all, community impact. We're talking about, as some of the other speakers mentioned, a societal level impact. So 6.5 million square feet of jobs, varieties of jobs. Because when you're talking about that many square feet, we're not just talking about a warehouse. We're talking about transportation and logistics. We're talking about a major hub in the area. We're also, when we look at what the area was previously zoned for, first it was 500, then it was 700 some odd homes. We're now talking about over 1,700 places for people to live. And you look a little bit further north and west, and we're talking about major housing crises. So it also positions the city of Menifee to be able to embrace the things that are inevitably to come. We want to build houses before there's a massive outcry. Where are the houses? Where's the opportunity to take care of our city streets? And we recognize that some of the issues that are taking place in more densely populated areas, we can mitigate that by being ahead of the issue. And so 1,700 houses, whenever independent development comes in and they say, hey, we want to plant a solution in your city, we don't turn our backs on that. We embrace that. Secondly, I want to talk about community benefits. benefits. So when you go to the slide that talks about the development agreement, we're recognizing that this is massive. Let's just point out a couple little basic things. How about $10 million cash contribution to a fire station? How about some of the things that we're looking at that show even the little minor details, like the timing of the paseo, the pedestrian bridge, the private rec center. So what Brookfield has done is they've got down into the weeds with the community's needs and the feedback. And a developer that big with $64 billion in assets, they don't have to listen to the community like that. They could propose something that they know would win you over behind the dais, but you know why they do it? Because they actually care. They actually take the time to hear the feedback, and they make the adjustments. They take the time to dialogue offline with the residents that come up and say, you know what I think it'd be great is if we did a little paseo, and they take the time and they listen to that stuff. They definitely don't have to. Their attorneys could blow by and pretend like they don't speak the language of the people, but they do. And again, finally, the open door with Brookfield is more than just another developer. Brookfield, again, has $64 billion in assets under control. So when a city like Menifee receives a developer, you're talking about top shelf. This is par excellence. This is the type of developer you're like, man, Lord, bring it into our city. Well, guess what? He did. So you don't want to turn your back on that, because when you look at communities where Brookfield invests in, it's an open door for the future, because they've obviously shown interest to continue development. They've obviously made revisions to the project because they see something of value in Menifee. And so what CARE California is asking is that you yourself see the benefit of coming into partnership with Brookfield. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
John Sisley.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm John Sisley. I'm a delegate to the Building Trades Commission, State of California. I'm a delegate to the Inland Empire Labor Council, and I'm a business agent for the plumbers, pipe fitters, and refrigeration for San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Less than 20% of the warehouses built in this area have community benefits agreements with them like this one does. This is where you don't turn your back on your community. This is where you provide sustainable jobs with great agreements for your city. Local 364 stands proudly in support of this project and of the applicant's commitment to hiring local skilled and trained workforce members. Many of our members live within this very community and are proud to be helping the development of the various aspects of this project. We will be helping to develop and grow the city of Menifee and lay a foundation for many generations to come. Please help support us by supporting this project.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sisley. Next speaker, please.
Next up is Louis Lopez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, staff, and community. My name's Louis Lopez. I'm a business agent for the Ironworkers Local 433, and I represent just over 5,000 members. We are excited about this project because it will provide good-paying jobs, hire local residents, and will use responsible contractors. This project will bring much-needed new development to the community and will benefit everyone in the area. I also want to take this moment. Today is my father's birthday, and I was able to visit him. He lives right on Early Dawn, and Bradley. And I love the way this city recognizes the veterans. My father was missing in action in Vietnam, recovered, awarded the Bronze Star, and 2 houses down on the corner is a banner that represents and proudly I love it. I love it. I'm also served in the Marine Corps from 90 to the end of 95, 2 tours. So I say that because the ironworkers, along with other trades in this room, have a partnership with Helmets to Hard Hats, where we offer the men and women coming back from proudly serving our country and to a direct entry into our programs, our apprenticeship programs, which is a good transition because our benefits cover insurance, good pay with benefits, and annuity, 401k, along with retirement. So it's a great transition. We love the leadership that comes from those men and women. So it's a great fit. We also partnership with probation departments and lean on those officers to help us identify those that need to make the next move into being a successful and productive citizen by joining our apprenticeship program, which is a mentorship. We keep them busy, we keep them working, and keep them accountable, and along the way, it just becomes a part of their lifestyle. So again, that's a great fit. But we need the jobs to continue to engage with many different populations in the community. So with that, the ironworkers would very much appreciate support in moving this project forward, and may God continue to bless the city of Menifee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and everyone who's here supporting you. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
John Peronti.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Peronti.
I'm not going to follow that act. Holy cow. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Good to see you all again. My name is John Peronti. I represent the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to my other board members who are here in attendance. Tonight I am here to speak about the Jobs Initiative partnership that we have with the city and ask for your help by adopting this Menifee Valley specific plan document as described. I have read the proposal, yes, all 1,200 pages. I found the document to be well done, and it does represent a job-focused plan. The plan incorporates business park, commercial business park, commercial retail space, which is much needed, a much needed asset in the city portfolio. Beyond just being beautiful rooftops, this proposal will attract businesses that will headquarter in Menifee. It will attract jobs that pay well, offer long-term job growth. We will work with the econ development team to attract businesses for that commercial use. This is essential for our Jobs Initiative program. I have found the plan to be well balanced in that it develops both residential and commercial in each of its three phases. I have found that it answers the question of traffic by offering ample entry and egress. That means employers and employees who live elsewhere can commute to work with ease. So these are people who might live outside coming to work here into the space. It also ties nicely to the adjacent community and will be integrated very nicely into the space next door as part of the total city fabric. So as board member, past chair of the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce, I and we, the chamber, support this project and ask for you to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peronti. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Stacy Hartfield.
Citizen of the Year.
Every opportunity you get, right?
Right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I would like to speak on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Inland Valley is in support of the Menifee Valley specific plan proposed by Brookfield Properties, which has been a very supportive which has been very supportive of the Boys and Girls Club of Inland Valley over the past 4 years, before, during, and after the pandemic, which greatly impacted our resources. They could always be counted on to not only be there monetarily, but also in person, attending events, volunteering, supporting our local families. They always showed up and had a presence that we could count on. So, they also came to our rescue in times of need when things would come up that were needed in the clubhouse. They always step forward and have been an amazing partner to the Boys and Girls Club. They have also shown that they want to help the city of Menifee grow in business with their plan for spaces which accommodate everything from startups to established businesses to come in while simultaneously building residential living spaces and public amenities. This multi-pronged approach shows thoughtful planning and their continued dedication to our area and local organizations, which is why the Boys and Girls Club of Inland Valley and the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce support this project proposed by Brookfield Properties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hartfield. Appreciate your words. Madam Clerk.
Kenneth Fung.
If you don't mind stating your name one more time, your last name.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Kenneth Fung, Phung.
Thank you.
Real quickly, I'm with the City of Paris, and I just want to note on the record, I'm not sure if the letters were passed out to you that we sent later this afternoon, but if you don't, I do have copies of here if you want to review them in case those are not handed out to you at your table. With that said, I just want to say that we have concerns with the document, and we've kind of highlighted in the letter. In our position, there's deficiencies in the secret document, and we wish that the council would continue this project for staff, Menifee staff to work with Paris staff to continue the dialogue to resolve some of our concerns. Some of our major concerns are the fact that 50% of the truck traffic is directed to the city of Paris along Ethenac Road. Instead of being within the city of Menifee, it's being directed to Paris. That's one of our major concerns, other than the few secret concerns that we have. So at this point, I respectfully request that the council continue this item so that we can continue that dialogue. And with that said, I have nothing further to state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fung. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Dave Bartlett.
Well, any other public speakers?
Robert Lugan.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilmen. My name is Robert R. Lugan, and I am a 41-year lifetime honorary iron worker. I worked for 28 years, and I'm still working, but I call this volunteer, and I call it supporting my brothers, all my union brothers here that come to present themselves to you at this time. I also served in the Marine Corps. That's me that was barking earlier. And I also am a delegate for the IE District Council. And I served 2 years apprenticeship programming as an instructor. At this time, I am serving with my ironworkers, Local 416 ironworkers, and Sergeant of Arms 9 years, E-Board 3. And we are here tonight to support this project. And this program will bring so much to the community. Not only has this developer made a commitment to hire local unions, but this development will bring commercial, business, residential, and public facilities to the areas that will boast a community economy overall. And so my heart goes out to you. This is a very important task, and I know that you will see that we mean what we mean when we are trained as apprenticeship programming to be journeyman. And it's a very strict training that we go through. This project is great for our community, and we strongly urge you to support this. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lugan. Madam Clerk.
Next up is Julia Birch.
Welcome, Ms. Birch.
Thank you for having me this evening. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City staff. My name is Julia Birch, and I'm the Director of Development for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Inland Valley. I want to reiterate what Stacy, who was on our board, said earlier, and just express our gratitude and appreciation for Brookfield Properties, and to let you just know a little bit about the impact that they've had on our organization, and through that, the impact that they've had on our excuse me, kids and families. I had the privilege, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, to start working with and meeting the team at Brookfield Properties, and to see their commitment to our community, not just through this plan, but through their work in the community. They've been very supportive of our organization over the past 4 years. This includes sponsoring, attending events, volunteering to support our family events, and they have been a go-to resource for us in times of need. They've even come out and volunteered at our sports banquet, passing out food to our families. So when we say that they're in the community, it's truly, they truly are, they mean what they say. So we appreciate the relationship that and the impact that they've had in this community, and we hope to see this project approved, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Birch. Madam Clerk, next speaker.
Lou Monville.
Welcome, Mr. Monville.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Lou Monville, representing the building industry of Southern California, Riverside County chapter. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. We have a letter on file already in support of the project. I'll try to not be repetitive of that and some of the comments of others. You know, we support mixed-use projects because of the balance they bring to communities, the balance of additional housing, infrastructure, jobs, and quality of life improvements. And I think you see that in the proposal before you today. This project demonstrates all of those benefits that a mixed-use project can bring, and a master plan in a comprehensive fashion delivers. You know, plus I would add in this case, you have a proven partner in Brookfield. We in the industry remain immensely proud of the work and the success of Audie Murphy Ranch, and I think this proposal will just take that Brookfield reputation and the promises made and promises kept that they have delivered before in Menifee to the next level. And so I thank you for your time this evening, and as our letter notes, would urge your support of the Menifee Valley Specific Plan. Thank you.
Appreciate you taking your time, Mr. Monville. Madam Clerk.
And the last speaker is Francisco Urbina.
Good evening, members of the City Council, fellow Menifeeans. This project should be continued. I agree with the City of Paris Community Development Director, Mr. Funk, that we need to work out issues related to traffic, especially 18-wheelers. As a newer Menifee resident, I don't want any more 18-wheelers in the city of Menifee. Just too much traffic. An 18-wheeler on the freeway takes up the length of like 6 car spaces. There are several issues that have not been resolved. The city of Menifee does not have to approve this project tonight. It can be continued. What do we want future Menifeeans 50, 100 years down the road to see? Brookfield communities may be a good neighbor for now, but a lot of those executives don't live in Menifee. We're the ones that would have to live with these 18-wheelers, and I've seen what has happened in Fontana when you have a good specific plan residential community in South Fontana, Southridge, next to a lot of 18-wheeler generated traffic. And does the traffic study break down how many of these new vehicle trips would be 18-wheelers versus box trucks? Anyway, we should continue this. The future of Menifeeans 50, 100 years down the road when we may not be around depends on it. Thank you very much. God bless the city of Menifee.
Thank you, Mr. Urbina. All right, so Madam Clerk, no more?
No more speakers.
Anybody else wish to speak or address the council on this item? All right, Mr. Bartlett, if you have anything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing now. I'm going to pull it behind the rail for discussion. I know Mr. Melching did have a response to Councilman Carwin's question regarding the ability for future residential development to happen on commercial and retail zoned and approved projects. So maybe Mr. Melching, you can give us an update.
Sure. We'll call this one bad news, good news. So in answer to Councilmember Carwin's question, it seems clear to me that the business park designation in the specific plan allows for, of course, business park uses, and then it specifically refers to corporate offices. And SB 6 indicates that it's applicable to any zone where office or retail or parking are a principally permitted use. And so I think the correct answer to the question is, because you have corporate offices that are allowed in the business park, that's one of the principally permitted uses, and therefore SB 6 is potentially applicable to all 3 of those zones. Well, it's really 2 zones, 2 labeled business park and 1 labeled commercial business park. That'd be what I would call the bad news. The good news is SB 6 only applies to lots that are 20 acres or less. And all 3 of those are larger than 20 acres for now. They may be subdivided in the future, but we certainly have the opportunity in the future land planning exercise to be very mindful of that 20-acre threshold as we look at future subdivision maps, if there is any need for future subdivision of those parcels. So hopefully that provides a comprehensive answer. I think the answer is it wouldn't help us to change the designation of any one of those zones tonight, and we have some tools available to us to deal with this issue going forward.
Thank you for that research, Mr. Melching. And I don't recall that 20-acre designation being discussed when we were doing it before. That would have been really helpful information in the prior presentation in explaining our position to the public. So I am armed with that knowledge now, and I appreciate that very, very much. That's good to know.
And that was SB 6, but wasn't there also 2011 and some other ones that have the same kind of implications, and maybe those may not have thresholds to. So ultimately, I think it's safe to say that someone can come and exploit a new California state law and get apartments placed in places that we intend for retail commercial. It could happen in the future.
Mayor, if I could just say this, and I don't want to put words in Mr. Bartlett's mouth, but I sat in a lot of these discussions. The way you're 100% right. Not only could plans change in the future, but laws could change in the future, and there's not a single one of the laws in this category that is arcing in local government's favor on these issues, right? That being said, my understanding is that the market right now is really beneficial for the types of uses that would go in the BP and the BPC zones, and I don't think it would be in Brookfield's interest, at least at this point, to be conveying land that would be used in the way that we're worried about.
I hope not. All right, thank you. Councilman Carmen, did you have other thoughts you want to lead off?
Yeah, you know, I always find it disheartening when we get impassioned speakers who stand up here and give us their opinion and are very heartfelt and then say thank you and then turn around and walk out because they don't get to hear the discussion about what's going on. And to me, it undermines the power of what they say at the dais by speaking and leaving, except for our badass union workers who are still here. They're not who I'm talking about. And part of it is, you know, we can't answer questions or respond to them while they're talking, but just to clarify, this isn't a project. This is zoning, right?
This is a specific plan policy document. We do not have plot plans for specific
Right, so when people are talking about, we ask you to approve this project, or people are upset about the truck traffic, none of that's happening. It's just lines, imaginary lines on the ground that we're talking about.
This authorizes the future projects, the future construction.
Right, so if somebody were to come to us having taken over this property and wanting to actually build something on it, we would then be able to address the concerns of truck traffic and things like that. So it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. All we're doing is saying that something can be built here in the future, but there's nothing being built here right now.
There's no approvals to construct right now. It authorizes the future construction, but the document does include, and the environmental analysis does include those maximum square footages.
Right.
You know, there could be this many homes, there could be this much square footage of business park or commercial.
Right. So that's an important distinction. People come up here and they say, you know, we want to approve this project, we demand this project, but there's no project. You know, like the union workers, I want you guys to work, you know, as much as you guys want to. If you guys want to work 24/7, 7 days a week, great. But if we approve this, there's no jobs for you there. There's nothing here. It's just land until somebody comes to us and says, here's what we want to build. then you guys come back and tell us that again. That's the thing we want to talk to you guys about. So it's frustrating that we can't educate people on that. But that being said, this is a great way to use this portion of the property. I think the benefits to the city are clear to me, and I think and Brookfield always presents classy work and quality work, and so I would be in favor of the project.
Excellent.
I said project after all that.
The project.
I'd be in favor of the resolutions.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad you caught yourself on that one. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Dinas is in the queue next.
Thank you. We'll just call it a pseudo project from now on.
Right.
So, to start off, for full disclosure, I have met with the developer a couple times. That was years ago. And a lot of the things that are in the plans today are many things that the mayor and I brought up that we would like to see. So in that regard, you know, Brookfield's been very responsive to our city's needs and desires, so I thank him for that. You know, we hear a lot about warehouses and things like that, but, you know, we're not, I think there's a need and a limited availability of that in Menifee. I think we have a number of people in this residents that work in warehouses, and this way they won't have to commute. The goal is to work, live, play in Menifee. The ability for someone to come to work and then get home early enough to go watch their kids play sports. That's important. I've always said that, you know, it's great to have mortgage-paying jobs here so they can live here. So there's that possibility with this. You know, I have no desire to see Menifee wall-to-wall warehouses, especially in District 4 where they're all going up, because that's where they're zoned for. But I think in this case, there's a compelling story for it. It does bring jobs. I thank the Planning Commission for changing one of those to more of the commercial for industrial ones, to where they can, someone who wants to start their own business, they can, you know, have a place to start it. That's what we need here in Menifee, and I appreciate that the Planning Commission bringing that up and for Brookfield to agreeing for that. You know, quite frankly, the warehouses are right across the street from a closed power plant behind Edison workplace there. So in my view, it's not I wouldn't want to live next door to that or behind that. So someplace where we can do business and have employment in that area is beneficial. And we can't remember the benefits that we can't forget about what Brookfield's bringing to the table. You know, $37 million in infrastructure improvements. It's been said before, but $10 million to build a new fire station. I think we're just building one now, and it's around the 10 to 15 million. So that builds almost completely a new fire station that District 4 needs tremendously, because we are growing so fast in the northern part of the city that we need that kind of coverage. Also, which is great, is the ability to, you know, the $4.7 million to improve on and expand McCall. Those of us that live there and drive it every day, we see it getting more and more crowded with the new homes and stuff. So it'd be, you know, so for Brookfield being required to do that, but doing it, there's a difference between being required and have to do it, but being required and willing to do it. I think that's the difference with Brookfield from a lot of developers. They've been willing to do a lot of things on this project, and I appreciate that. But $4.7 million to approve McCall with all the new homes that are coming in, and those that are being built right now, and the future ones are tremendous. One thing I did mention was a park that was more inclusive, and I'm glad, Dave, that you listened to that, and something that you'll bring to this city that we can really use. So I'm really excited about that. And to me, it's all, you know, you weigh the good and the bad, the things that you like to do without, but the great stuff you get in for that. And I think this is a project brings jobs. It may be not the exact kind of business or buildings you want, but it's something that will benefit the city in the long run. We need businesses that will make Menifee sustainable, that we can continue to have revenues, continue to have a great police department and a fire department and great parks. And this is what brings to, this development will bring that to Menifee. So with that, I've rambled on enough, so I will be supporting this project. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Sobek.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for everyone who came tonight to share their thoughts. Out of 13 people that I wrote down, all wanted to support this to go forward. We did have 2. I did have a question if staff could answer a couple questions. City of Paris, Mr. Fan talked about his document that he sent in today. Can you tell me when this arrived at City Hall?
This was emailed to us, and we received it at 4:19, 4:20 this afternoon.
4:19 or 4:20. And when was this posted as a city council agenda item? Was that public last Friday, Thursday?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday. So, Mr. Fan, you had plenty of time to get this in. And because it came in so late, you've asked for part of the project to be delayed. I would ask that the City of Paris be more respectful to the City of the Menifee going forward. Okay. So on that, also I want clarification. Mr. Fan mentioned about Ethonac Road. I don't remember that in the presentation. I remember that trucks would be going up Menifee Road to Highway 74 and using McLaughlin. I didn't hear anything about Ethonac. Can you clarify that?
Yes, as part of that, we did talk about McLaughlin Road being extended over to Case Matthews. Case Matthews then transfers into Ethonac Road right at the RCTC corridor. So portion of the vehicles exiting the site or accessing the site will come through the Ethonac corridor and the 74 corridor.
So your professional opinion, if you know, it's a straight shot from Menifee to 74. So you could say, would you say that most likely it would be used Menifee to 74 to get that straight shot to the freeway? Do you see the Matthews Case Road, McLaughlin as an alternate? I mean,
The way the site is situated, a portion of the trucks would actually access through 74 because they have direct connection to it. But the portion that where the southern portion of the business park does access right at McLaughlin, it makes it more sense for them to go straight through McLaughlin to Case, Matthews, and then up Ethonac.
Up Ethonac?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then you will be able to address that?
Yeah.
Take care of that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I do want to thank also Brookfield. It's nice to hear that you've been a great partner in the city, hearing from the Boys and Girls Club and the Chamber and others. I know that you've supported a lot of things in our city. I know that you've been a developer that has not left our city, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that you looked at what you said. I didn't write it down, but you looked at some other projects that you've done and saw what worked, what didn't work, what you could do better. I think that was your thing. And I believe this mixed use, especially in North Menifee, where we have nothing, I think will be a benefit to that area. I kind of picture it like off of Highway 79, Temecula Parkway. You know, Temecula first developed around the mall area, and then pretty soon it went out on 79, and it's thriving retail, commercial, industrial, housing area. And I kind of see this happening in Menifee, that this will be our second, like, downtown. I can see it spreading down that, and I think it will be really positive for North Menifee. So I'm excited, as Mayor Pro Tem Dinah said, about the amenities that you're bringing in that are going to improve the quality of life and the jobs. And, you know, nothing's been mentioned about in perpetuity. I read in the staff report, $1 million per year to the general fund that could come out of that project. And so just thank you for working with Councilmember Dynas and listening. I also read in the staff report that our two commissioners, Madrid and Thomas, were chosen to be on an ad hoc committee and visited a development that you have, the New Haven community on Ontario, and they had positive things to say about that. I do concur with Councilmember Carwin about the train tracks. That was something that when I looked at that green belt as well, not projected green belt, I think we do need to look at any housing that's close to those railroad tracks. We need to try to see what we can do eventually when you do have your track map. So I hope you'll remember that. And I think that's all my comments tonight, and I look forward to voting for this.
Okay, Councilmember Estrada's next.
Yeah, I want to thank the developers from Brookfield for coming out. I think you guys did a great comprehensive job at addressing many things. I like the commercial small businesses that you're going to put in planning area 13. That area needs a lot of, or Romo land, it's a very socioeconomically challenged area, and they don't have many places to go for entertainment or food, and I think that would be a benefit. I think you're offering many amenities and giving the city more funding capabilities for infrastructure, which I do like. If this project were to get approved, I would encourage, I watched the Planning Commission meeting, and I know there was a plot of land where you didn't really have established what would be put in this community garden section. Do you remember what I'm referring? Okay. And yeah, you know, I think that would be a great benefit for socioeconomically challenged communities because they have problems getting groceries and fresh food, and being surrounded by fast food is not to their benefit. So I would encourage you to keep that in mind. I do have some concerns about the project, and it is concerning the warehouses. The warehouses were not previously included in the previous plan, and I have to be tough when it comes to the warehouses. And I have some concerns. Primarily in our staff report, it talks about the air quality. It mentions long-term operational pollutant emissions may exceed thresholds. It also mentioned emission impacts would be significant and unavoidable, and those are concerns for me for a socioeconomically challenged area such as Romo land. Now, look, I'm very pro-business. I support jobs, I support growth. Earlier this year, the council voted 5-0 unanimously to give the Chamber of Commerce $100,000 to be funded and to help our local businesses. So I'm pro-jobs, but I have to ask the tough questions on the warehouses. Another part of that is my constituents expect me to ask the tough questions of the warehouses. Almost 4,000 people put me in this seat because I said I would ask the tough questions of the warehouses. And I think anyone in this audience would agree, if your representative says something, you expect them to hold a sense of integrity and say, I will ask those tough questions. So I appreciate the hard work you did on this, but I do have concerns.
All right, and so let me just share a couple of things. As Mayor Pro Tem Dynas did, I'm going to disclose that I did meet with the applicant as well, but I've also met with some of the residents in the area and heard their thoughts and sentiments about it. And there was a day when Councilman Dynas and I went out to the site, and we just we were on the west end of this property over by where the Edison plant is, and both of us were looking at these, there was a little stub road there, and watching these trucks coming in with big spools of wire and whatnot, because that is their maintenance and operations yard. And then there's these great big towers that have transmission lines all over, and both of us said, I'm not sure I'd want to have my backyard looking at this. And so when we did meet with the applicant after that, we kind of shared that, and he said, well, this is kind of what I want to do, is be able to have this buffer of a different use so that residents aren't right up against a high intensity, maybe not so sightly activity. And it made sense to me. But then we got to talking a little bit about opportunities. And one of those opportunities is Highway 74. There's so much pass-through traffic coming from San Jacinto and Hemet, and they're on their way to Lake Elsinore, and the same way in the afternoons. And we got to capture some of that. And so we encouraged you to reconsider the plan and add commercial along that Highway 74. And they came back, went to the drawing board and came back and said, we heard you, and this is what we want to do. And it actually makes sense to the applicant as well. And so I applaud that. As was mentioned, our planning commissioners went on a tour, and I actually saw some of the things that you've partnered with. We saw the Rodeo 39, which might be a concept here on Highway 74, called Rodeo 74, if you will. But that's kind of a foodie concept, something that's exciting and interesting. And I think the folks in Romaland would love it, as Councilman Estrada said. It's a new opportunity for entertainment and being able to have unique experiences with dining. So thank you for the sensory park idea. I think that's really brilliant. We have a lot of kids with all needs in this community, and we want to be able to have our experiences here that we offer as a city to be able to accommodate everybody. So thank you for that. Also in our early discussions, my concern was if we go away from what was once a residential specific plan, the Quimby requirements of that triggered this beautiful 20-acre sports park. And I was thinking if we reduce that, we're going to lose the sports park, or the sports park becomes 10 acres and is no longer a regional sports park. And as we've all heard in our Parks Master Plan, there is a need for a regional sports park. But you and your team said, you know what, we're going to hang on to that. We're going to keep that. We're going to not go away from it. And you actually included an aquatic, which was something that I didn't ask for, but it was pleasantly surprised to see. Splash pad, I mean, you're just taking it to the next level. So I think that's neat too. This is the kind of thing that our residents are going to embrace. Those folks that I did speak to that live on the east side of Briggs Road, it's outside of our city, they're in the county, but they told me when we bought our home, the sales office told us what was going to be happening there, and they described a sports park and an aquatic center. They described residential, and so that was why I thought it was good for you to honor that. And even though it wasn't a commitment you made, but you're honoring that commitment and making sure that those folks aren't discouraged by seeing something different. So to that I say well done. So I'm fully supportive of this project and this, not project, this specific plan, right? And then seeing the future projects that come within this specific plan. I also just wanted to thank the developer for being flexible and working with our team. I know that Mr. Fiddler and Ms. Kitzrow represented the city well, describing the needs that we have when it comes to fire stations and it comes to having a cash contribution for some kind of a facility like that on top of the property. And for those other off-site infrastructure improvements that are needed. I also think about the assessed valuation for that entire property. As vacant land, it's valued what it is, but the city's going to benefit once those improvements come in and the value is multiplied by positive factors. So those are all good things for our community. And I like the pedestrian bridge. I think it's neat. I liked, I think it was Councilman Dinas who asked if it could slide a little farther east to, if that's possible, I would support that so it lands closer to the sports park and the Paseo or the Spine road that goes north to the high school, and just create that nice, safe place for the kids and not have to make them come way over here and then come all the way back again. That makes sense if it can happen. I'm not even sure that the bridge is even going to be able to happen. I mean, there's potential for constraints and other agencies that need to approve that, and so let me help you with that if I can. Hopefully that happens, because I think it's a good benefit. It's a safety thing for our kids. There's so many in Heritage Lake that ride their bike to Heritage High School, and they got to deal with that intersection there at Briggs and Case Road and McLaughlin, and it's a little difficult. So this will be safer, and this will be better. So anyway, those are all good things. Finally, we had a lot of members of the public that came and talked about the character of Brookfield Communities, the partnerships, the support, and I've seen that with my own eyes as well. I'm not asking for it, and I don't go, hey, Mr. Bartlett, can you support the Boys and Girls Club or any of that? You just did it on your own, and so I'm standing back and admiring that. So thank you for being a long-term partner. The Audie Murphy Ranch project is beautiful, and you're here to stay, I think, and so I see that, and I see that commitment. So anyway, all those things, if anybody else has anything, I do know that Mr. Melching mentioned that we are going to make a different motion if we're going to motion to support this, and that would be to continue items 1, 2, and 4, the EIR, the GPA, the tentative track map, and approve the ordinance items, the first readings for the zone change and the development agreement. But Mayor Pro Tem Dinas.
Yeah, I just have one thing, the commercial spot. That was, all my residents that I represent, they would love to see some commercial and retail in the District 4, because right now we've got to come all the way down to Newport. And that's one thing I've been fighting to get, and fighting from land being used. That doesn't entail commercial and retail. So I very much appreciate Brookfield for listening to us, and some of the concepts that they've brought are exciting. But I want to thank staff too, because I've seen in the past, especially in Heritage Lake where I live, we had this nice retail area. Then years down the road, all of a sudden that disappeared and became more homes instead of giving us some retail and commercial. So I know staff worked that into the development agreement, that there are some triggers in there that will be required, some of that commercial and retail to be built as this non-project moves along. So I want to thank staff for listening to me and watching for District 4 to make sure that happens. Thank you.
All right, so if we can, I'd like to make the motion that we continue items 1, 2, and 4, the EIR, the general plan amendment, the tentative track map, and approve the 2 ordinance items, the zone change and the development agreement. Let me get a second on that. Okay, and then Madam Clerk, if you don't mind, would you read the titles of the 2 ordinances?
Yes. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Menifee, California, approving change of zone number PLN 21-0335, specific plan amendment number PLN 21-0221, and specific plan number PLN 21-0217, which revises the city zoning map to include the Menifee Valley Specific Plan Zone, removes 590.3 acres from the Menifee Valley Ranch Specific Plan, and establishes land uses and development standards for the 590.3 acre Menifee Valley Specific Plan. That's one ordinance. Let me get the other one here. Second ordinance is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Menifee, California, approving development agreement number PLN 21-0338 by and between the City of Menifee and Minor Ranch LLC.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Melching, did you want to add anything?
Yes, Mayor. So just so the record is clear, the continuance of items 1, 2, and 4 will be to a date certain. That's that date being February 21st, 2024.
Thank you for the clarification. That is my motion. Whoops. Okay, and that passes 4-1 with Councilman Estrada dissenting, and we are now going to go ahead and move to item 12. This is discussion item. I believe we have two discussion items. The first is 12.1, City of Menifee Legislative Platform, and I think Mr. Southard is going to present on this. All right, Mr. Southard, we're ready.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. My name is Philip Southard. I'm the city's Public Information and Legislative Affairs Officer. Here tonight, I present to you the 2024 legislative platform for the City of Menifee. So just a little background is just was discussed in the last item. Legislation can have a major impact on the city's operations. The city has developed a legislative platform that allows staff to quickly respond to legislative items and take positions on those matters. For this year, we've developed a new update with for 2024 for your consideration. Just as a reminder here, the platform has three overarching guidelines. Those are local control, fiscal stability, and support of funding opportunities. The document itself is broken down into 7 categories by our departments and reflect positions on issues that impact the city's ability to govern or provide essential services. The document also sets the foundation for us to be able to collaborate with our partner agencies and to facilitate requests for support. So tonight, you do have a draft of that document, and Council, the next steps are to review and discuss any potential revisions to the platform, and staff will take those back and make updates and present a new red line version for your consideration at a future meeting. And that concludes my presentation, Mayor, and I'll turn it back to Council for discussion. And I'll stay up here to take your feedback and answer any questions.
All right, so council members, do we have any questions at this time? Councilmember Sobek?
So yes, I'd like to know how we would add, I have some information that I would like to be able to talk about. I guess I don't need if we're going to add something, do I ask you or do I wait for discussion and discuss it with my colleagues?
It's more for discussion because it'll take the group of you to direct that something be added.
Okay,
so
I'll
unless
wait
it's a
for,
question.
I'll wait, this is a discussion item, so I'll wait. Are we doing questions right now and then we're going
Question.
to bring it back? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions, council members? I do have a question. So, Mr. Southard, I thought that I was reading our staff report and it looked like there was a red line version included.
Correct. We did want to mark for council some updates that were made. So we did make some general updates to the background.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some differences between 23 and 24. So that's mostly reflected in the background. We did add a minor change in our economic development section to support regional economic development efforts. Just give us a little bit more latitude to take positions on those types of issues. Yeah. But again, we wanted to give council an opportunity to have some more discussion if you wanted to include any additional information.
Okay. So real fast then, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item or any correspondence?
No request to speak, and correspondence would be in your folder.
All right, so council, we can open it up, and Councilmember Stobeck, if you wanted to kind of share your thoughts.
Yeah, you know, we've had a few discussions about local control. Recently, we approved changes to our development code, and then tonight we heard from Councilmember Carwin on Mr. Melching having to look up some development codes in regard. And we have an opportunity, I came across, I did a little research and came across, there's a coalition called California Cities for Local Control. And they actually recently have been, have a court case going with SB 9. There's two things that they're asking us to do. One is to pass a resolution saying that we as, and you all have a copy of this, that we as the City of Menifee support local control and would support the work that the volunteers are doing. And number two, if we would like to add our name to to add with other cities in California to support California Cities for Local Control. And so I just think it's a great thing that we can add to our platform, since we're talking about the legislative platform, something that maybe we can approve and support.
All right, so just so I'm clear, we have a legislative platform in the form of like a report or whatever, what we have, right?
Correct.
It's an ordinance, or, right?
Correct. It's a legislative platform.
Legislative platform.
Yeah.
And then there's also this resolution template that we received from that Gary Cardinal guy.
Yes.
And I got that as well. But it's almost duplicative, because the language that's in that ordinance template that he sent is exactly what's already in our legislative platform. It talks about local control. Now, it doesn't mean we can't do it. It's just.
Right now, they're fighting SB 9.
Yeah.
And they are asking city councils to support this resolution, so they can take it to the state and say they got this, they have this many cities that are supporting it. I did a little research. I talked with the mayor of City of Norco. I talked with Jeremy Smith of the City of Canyon Lake. All of those council members have signed it.
Yep.
I talked with some council members from the City of Marietta. And we just, what our discussion is, we've had, what can we do as a council? We've asked, what can we do? And so as this came forward and I did a little research, I thought, okay, this is something we can do.
Right. So I just want to kind of throw this out there. Throughout the year, we get requests to write letters in support of this or that. And what Mr. Southard does is he compares the request to our legislative platform, and if it is in line with what our platform is, then we go ahead and do a letter. So something like the resolution would be something that we could do as a separate action, because it falls in line with our legislative platform. So I don't know if we need to change the legislative platform because of this. It's almost like a separate action.
I was going to bring it up as a future agenda item.
Let's do that.
And staff said to bring it up at this point tonight.
Because this is, what we're doing is talking about the platform.
But it goes in line with the
And
platform.
those letters and resolutions come up throughout the year, and this is just one of the many. And so we wouldn't want to take some of those other resolutions and try and put them as part of this report.
So could staff clarify why you wanted it to come forward at this point?
Mayor and Council, we can do it either way. You can proceed, if you don't have any other edits to the legislative platform, you can make a motion to adopt the 2024 legislative platform tonight. We can bring back the resolution for future consideration. If you have additional edits that you would like to have incorporated or integrated into the legislative platform, we can bring both items back together as one component with the resolution, if that's the choosing of the council as a whole, along with any additional modifications you'd like to be integrated into the platform.
Understood. All right. So my recommendation is that we do them separate.
That's fine.
I totally support the resolution because
it would be supported
because
by
our legislative platform
Absolutely.
supports it, and that's why we should do that. But I think we'll get others throughout the year, and I don't want to commingle two different things.
Well, fine. I'll bring it up at future agenda item.
Absolutely, and I'll support that too.
Okay.
So, but council members, do we have any other changes to the draft or the revised version that Mr. Southard sent us? Councilman Carwin, are you up?
Yeah, there's some language in here that is throughout that I find troublesome. And it's in each of the things that we are in favor of, it says support legislation and funding programs, ... Specifically, I'm looking, I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them is on page 9 under housing. It says support legislation and funding programs promoting production and rehabilitation of safe, affordable, and accessible housing. So if the state wants to raise taxes to build affordable housing, that would be a funding program that we would be in favor of. And there's similar language in other areas. Why do I have a voting screen up? I can't access my notes. I have a voting screen up. Nobody's moved.
You're the only one.
Oh.
No, I got it too. if you put it on agenda.
There's, no, it's this item. While he's working on that, there are other examples of it that I had cited, but what I would like to see is a caveat in there that's, if it's our legislative platform, if we're going to say support legislation and funding programs, I would like to include a disclaimer that says that do not increase the tax burden on the citizens or something to that effect, because, thank you, because those kinds of programs we would oppose, but it's part of our legislative platform. That's one specifically. Another one is under occupational programs, support legislation, funding, and policies that promote occupation programs, trade schools, investment or research, development, technology, and tax incentives for manufacturing. So we're automatically supporting funding programs for all of this stuff. It's the funding that bothers me, because supporting funding, where does funding come from for new programs? New taxes. And when we have a blanket of support legislation and funding, we have a legislative platform of that. And then the other one, which isn't funding, immigration. Recognize existing immigration laws and legitimate amnesty. Everyone's always asking us, the city council, why the border is the way it is, things like that. We always say, it's not our deal. We're the city. We don't have any control over the border. Yet we are having a legislative platform recognizing existing immigration laws. So we are in favor of everything Joe Biden is doing at the border, and we support all of that legislation. That's what our legislative platform says. I don't. So I can't approve this the way it's written for those two reasons. One, for the funding, because blanket approving funding is blanket improving new taxes. And this immigration law, I don't agree with the existing immigration laws. So the way this is written, I can't approve it.
Yeah,
Phil, is that funding, is it grant funding, applying for grants?
I think to maybe address your concerns, Councilmember Carwin, is we have those overarching guidelines, and one of them is support funding opportunities. So we could add some language within that to say something along the lines of, however, city will oppose any state or federal measure that creates new taxes or fees for Menifee residents and/or businesses.
Yeah, I think.
And unfunded liabilities.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the rabbit hole of what, you can't anticipate every single funding source that the state could creatively come up with, but something in there that tempers that, or maybe we approve all funding programs is just scary to me.
So if we did that, we would put that in the overarching guidelines portion, and that way that would carry out throughout the document. So we would support funding opportunities as long as they don't do the matter which you're talking about, raising taxes or fees on residents. Good,
and I would like that throughout the document, wherever it says legislation and funding, that funding should have that caveat to it, or maybe an introduction saying funding shall mean the following, just something like that. And then with the immigration, if you leave out that first, if we just go recognize legitimate amnesty and supporting legislation solving the immigration crisis, recognizing existing immigration laws as a blanket statement, I think that's the part I have a phrase with. If I'm being too picky, then I'm welcome to hear it. But that would be my solve to that one.
Or in my mind, I would like it if this council would agree to, I don't know how to say this professionally, but keep our nose out of things that aren't in our purview. You know what I mean? To stay focused on things that are in our purview and avoid things like national issues or anything related to supporting
I'd be fine striking that entirely from the legislative platform and deal with it on a case-by-case basis.
Well, I definitely don't agree with what's going on at the border, so I'm on the same boat as Councilman Carwin.
But instead of being focused on one national thing like border, we should say we avoid all things that aren't in our purview. In other words, we don't need to be writing letters about stuff that doesn't relate to the city.
Right, local control.
You know what I mean? Now, if it's local control, they're taking away local, okay, that relates to our city, has an effect. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to keep our nose clean.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that was the one that stood out to me. I didn't go through and see if there were others that were national issues. Like, there's nothing here about abortion or anything specifically like that. But immigration does affect us because we could potentially be a recipient city if things go a certain way. And we would need policies about what happens with people who are bused to the city of Menifee, which hasn't happened yet. But should it happen in the future, we'd like to have a stance on it, I think.
I follow you. So it would have an effect. Maybe there's a way to say it, Phil, that just says, the things that, unless they have a direct effect on the city of Menifee, we should avoid national topics that aren't in our purview.
And I think maybe that's something we can weave into the local control overarching guideline as well.
Yeah. Councilman Dinas, did you have some?
Yeah, if you go back to the, that won't raise taxes and stuff, would that include like unfunded mandates when the state demands we do things but won't fund it?
It should be
that'd
included.
because we get a lot of that, and we get all these unfunded mandates and.
You know what? Adding a section of we oppose unfunded mandates, just in general. Yeah. I think that's a great. That would just be an overarching philosophy too. That anything that's an unfunded mandate or an or underfunded mandate, we oppose. I'd like to add that. I think that would take care of that for everything.
Right.
And I think we get a little bit into that in our promotion of fiscal stability and that overarching, but I think we can make that a little bit more defined as well, so we can spell that out.
Yeah, I think that's a great delineation.
Any other items that we can have Mr. Southard try to inject into this? All right, well, I think we're there. Thank you, Phil. Again, this is just kind of a review and discuss item, so.
Perfect. Thank you,
All right,
Council.
thank you. So you'll be coming back with a draft for approval?
Correct. We will make those updates, and we'll send you a new version
All right.
for review.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right, let's go to our next discussion item, 12.2, Menifee Citizens Advisory Committee composition, and Ms. Rosine's coming to the podium, so welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. If I can get my presentation up. My name is Stephanie Rosine. I'm the Assistant City Clerk. And here tonight, I'm presenting a future agenda item regarding the composition of the Menifee Citizens Advisory Committee, also known as MCAC. Tonight, we're going to have Edna LeBron, our Senior Management Analyst and Committee Clerk, provide an overview of the history and purpose of the committee first.
Lower this. Did you want to see me?
Yeah, lower that thing. There you are.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. In 2012, the City of Menifee became a CDBG entitlement city, meaning that we would receive annual allocations from HUD to assist low, moderate income residents. As part of the requirement to become a qualified entitlement city, the city was required to adopt the citizen participation plan. Excuse me. MCAC was adopted in the city's CDBG citizen participation plan. The purpose of MCAC is to serve as an advisory body for the city's CDBG program. They review all of the nonprofits' applications and make recommendations for funding for your consideration. And then they also select the Menifee Citizen of the Year. And that's pretty much what MCAC does. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. LeBron.
So going into a little bit of the composition history for the committee. When it was established in 2015, it was an 8-member committee consisting of 2 members from each of the existing committees and commissions at that time. In 2020, our Youth Advisory Committee was restructured to a youth community services program, and therefore we needed an amendment to our MCAC resolution to remove them as members. At that time, a resolution was brought to the City Council for their consideration, and the composition was changed to 6 members. This was Also to help align this committee along with our other existing committees and commissions, which all are 5-member bodies. Some specific guidelines for our MCAC commission is like I said, it's unique in that it is comprised of 2 members that are appointed from each of our commission and committees. All of our other committees are appointed by the city council. Their appointments take place in February, and there are 3 regular meetings required each year. There are other special meetings that can be held. Our members of the MCAC serve a 2-year term and have no term limits. Looking over the overreaching of our commissions and committees, I just want to point out a few differences between our commissions and committees. Commissions are established by ordinance. First reading, second reading takes place before anything can be changed with our commissions. Committees are established by resolution. Our commissions are appointed at large, whereas our committees are district appointed, so they are required to live within the district of their appointing council member with the mayor's appointment at large. Commissions, as they receive a stipend, are required from AB 1661 to take a harassment prevention training. And then the last big difference is our commissions serve a 4-year term. Those run concurrent with their appointing council members, and our committees serve a 2-year term. Specific to senior advisory, they have to be 55 years old or better. And quality of life committee, they, as well as our commissions, have to file a Form 700 conflict of interest code. These are discussion options, starting points for the council's consideration. Staff is presenting one as to keep the committee and commission appointed as is, which is 2 members from our planning commission, our parks commission, and our senior advisory committee. Option 2 could be to amend the resolution, keep it as a committee and commission appointed body, and include the quality of life committee. This could be to choose 1 or 2 members from each of our existing committees to serve. Third could be to amend the resolution and update the committee's composition to match our other cities, our other committees and commissions, and we could update that to a 5-member committee with members appointed by the city council. So that is my presentation. I will leave this back up here if you'd like, but I am available for any questions or comments.
All right, thanks, Ms. Rosine, and thank you, Ms. LeBron. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
We do actually
Okay.
have a couple of requests.
All right, can you call the first one, please?
Michael Knighton.
Welcome, Mr. Knighton.
Hello, Mayor, Council. I'm here for 2, quite simply. We've missed somehow during all the language of getting rid of the youth, and then during COVID, Measure DD has not been on this, the MCAC. I'm not even here standing up for myself, because myself and Michael Cano are probably gonna lose our jobs come November, but I would like to see at least my other 3 guys, or June too, represented on the MCAC. I've gone to the last 2 meetings. It's crazy the amount of work they do. And I think we should be represented on there. So I'm gonna make this quick. I'll let Gloria yell at you.
So just to be clear, Michael, your recommendation is to add either 1 or 2 members of the Quality of Life Committee to MCAC?
The original resolution, when it was established,
Right.
said 2 members, an ad hoc committee from each
Committee. Right.
what do they say? Appointment by each advisory board. They called us advisory boards. So they said 2 members. It should be 2 members,
All right.
including Measure DD.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next speaker.
Gloria Sanchez.
All right. The chair of our Senior Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Oh, you can't see me, huh? Okay. All right. I want to thank you for recognizing that the MCAT has done a service to our city. I have been and served on that since the inception. I've served as their chair, and I do need to tell you that thank you. We do a tremendous amount of work when it comes to the CDBG funding. It takes a lot of time and effort to go through all of that. So the people who serve there now are seasoned individuals who know the ins and outs of how it all works. And I do think that it's time that we add 2 members from our Measure DD quality of life. It just makes sense to do that. And they should be allowed the opportunities like any other committee that we have. And we applaud everyone that serves on this committee. Those who are appointed by you are serving on this committee. We have a great working relationship with Edna LeBron, who is our person that we work with. We do take a lot of time and effort to go through all the information submitted to us, and not only with the CDBG funding, but also with the Citizen of the Year. We recently met to do that, and I have to tell you, a lot of discussion takes place. It's not an easy thing to do. We realize it's not an easy thing to do because all of you have submitted great nominees and those who are citizens of the month. So we recognize that it's not an easy thing to do, but it's not a popularity contest either. We look at the time that they've spent on committees, volunteering their time, and seeing how they promote themselves within the city of Menifee and promote the city of Menifee. So we take the time to do that. And when it comes to the CDBG funding, we look at the organizations that want to stay in Menifee. That is our purpose, is to look at organizations that have something to offer. They may not always be here in Menifee proper, their location, but they provide services for this city. So taking the time to review them, which we have done, we are given a notebook of all those who have submitted applications and thoroughly read all the information submitted to us. We have a scoring sheet that we have to go through. We ask very heavy questions when we have that meeting and ask those tough questions of these nonprofits that come before us. Many have said, you choose the same ones all the time every year. Well, I'm here to tell you there's a reason for that. And that reason is that continue to serve the city of Menifee with their services.
Your time is up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Gloria. Any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
Francisco Urbina.
Okay. Of course.
Hello again, Mr. Mayor, members of City
Edna,
Council.
can you help him with the...
Yeah.
We're saving your back.
Yes. I have given my notice to leave that dysfunctional Morning Glory room and board home for miscellaneous reasons, including the fact that I had to call the Menifee Police Department 13 times because of verbal and physical elder abuse against me. Anyway, I'm interested in serving on as many committees as I have time for, including if there's such a committee on the homeless, because I'm temporarily living out of my forerunner. And for example, you know, if I were to get a grant on my own and or with the assistance to the city of Menifee, could I buy a little mini home or a used baby Airstream, if you will, and tow it to the factory installed trailer hitch on my forerunner and park somewhere until I get my contentious divorce settled. I'm also interested in serving on any traffic committee and quality of life committee, etc. I want to improve the quality of life for all Menifeeans. That is why I chose city and regional planning and have a bachelor's from Cal Poly Pomona and a master's in city planning from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Urbina. Any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
No other requests to speak.
All right, so I do like Stephanie's idea of putting that slide back up, that there's kind of some options for us to consider. And Councilmember Sobek's first in the queue, so the floor is yours, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael Knighton and Gloria. you know, your service that you give to the city is tremendous. And a lot gets done because of you and others like you. And I see Stacy here tonight. That was our Citizen of the Year and has really gotten involved. There's no right and wrong answer for this one. I brought it forward because of requests that I'm getting as a council person as the city is growing and attending the Citizens Academy, some of their meetings. What we hear all the time is that people want to do something and get involved. And so this is just one of those committees that we could have new members, or we could have new people be able to serve our community and let people have more opportunities to serve. So and if we end up, you know, keeping it the same and adding quality of life, I don't mind, but I do feel like personally that as we've grown, that maybe we needed to just take a look at this. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm willing to go with whatever, but listening to the people who talk to me and the ones that are saying they want to be involved, I didn't know if it might be time to refresh it.
All right, very good. Councilman Estrada.
Yeah, so I think I'm in favor of option 3. You know, I think it would be healthy to have new voices, new perspectives. We all know how the committees and commissions think. We're very accessible to everybody, but this is called the Menifee Citizens Academy. And I think opening it up to more Menifee citizens to participate would be much healthier. So I would be in favor of option 3 and appointing new members of the public to share how they feel.
All right, thank you. I don't see anybody else in the queue, so I'm going to just jump in real fast, and then we'll take Mayor Pro Tem next. So I like option 2, personally, adding the Quality of Life Committee to 2 members of the Quality of Life Committee to serve on MCAC. Personally, the reason why I'm not so excited about option 3 is because they're appointed by the city council, and I really like the organic nature of the MCAC being selected from their own body. So planning commissioners are choosing 2 of their planning commissioners to serve, as opposed to us council members. I feel like we should have arm's length from MCAC and allow others to kind of create their committee among themselves and then represent. And I'll tell you, the folks that they're choosing among themselves are the ones that are most knowledgeable of CDBG selection and also being able to select that Citizen of the Year. I mean, it seems so simple, right? But I do want to say that it's probably very helpful for that committee to be able to look at the applications that we submit because we get to choose the Citizens of the Month, right? So there's our involvement, and we let this independent arm's length, without any undue influence from us, choose that Citizen of the Year, and they're using the form that we fill out. So my encouragement is, if the better you fill that out, the better that person has an opportunity to be selected by this committee that's reviewing them. So just wanted to kind of share that. But anyway, I like number 2. Now, I don't want this to be such a huge committee that it's like herding cats and you're trying to have so many people. It gets harder to come to agreements. So I just throw it out there for my council members. Maybe instead of having 2 members from each body, we have 1. Then we'd end up with 4, so it's still, no matter how, it always ends up in an even number, right, when you do the math. So anyway, there's my thoughts. I like number 2. I'll just leave it at that.
Can I just,
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a comment on that. So when I was a planning commissioner, nobody wanted to do something extra, but I always volunteered, so I was on the MCAC. Okay. So just from that perspective, they all had enough to do. Many of them worked. I had just retired, so I had a little extra time. but I always did volunteer because nobody else had the time or what they didn't want to. So just a little perspective.
So Councilman Carmen's in the queue, but I know Mayor Pro Tem pushed his button and I accidentally erased him.
I just wanted to, you brought my part, you go from 6 to 8, then it becomes hard to coordinate when everyone's available and stuff. But is that, I'll ask, staff and the members of the committee, is that a workable number, 8? Would that, I don't know the inner workings and how well that works, but would 2 more members be any, I don't know how hard it is to get them all together at once now or anything like that.
I'll touch on one point and then I'll have Edna speak. So we talk about quorums. We have to have a quorum to meet. When you have an 8-member body, it's half plus 1. So you do have to have 5 members be able to coordinate a single meeting. That could become sometimes difficult. With a 4-member committee, you're looking at 3 members being available. But that is just one of the challenges, is coordinating for a committee like this where we don't have set dates and time. But that's just from me. And
exactly what she said. It's just trying to, I just sent an email blast to all of them, tell them to give me their available dates, and from there I just take it and whatever, is available for all of them, then that's when we meet. So 2 more wouldn't really matter.
That's what we're asking.
Yeah, a minimum, we need to add the Measure DD. They are a committee that we've established, and I think that was the intent of establishing this committee. So I would support that.
Okay. And Edna's saying 2 more is not going to make it too much more difficult. Councilman Carwin?
I have also served on this committee. When I was a planning commissioner, I served on it. So I kind of know what it entails. And, as a planning commissioner, they arguably have more work to do than we do because their agenda packets are much denser. I disagree that the current setup is arm's length because we're the ones who appoint the people who pick the committee. So ultimately, the people who are on there are still appointed by council. So it's the same it just skips one step. I'm mindful of the big difference between the original composition and what we're looking at now is the inception of the Menifee Citizens Academy. And I do agree that a lot of people come to me and they say, how do I get involved? And I say, well, run for council in 4 years or 2 years or whatever it is. There's not a lot of opportunities. So we created this Citizens Academy in order to get people excited to participate in the city, and then we tell them there's nothing for them to do. So this creates 5 new spots from the Citizens Academy. I like the idea. Having done it myself, the MCAC, I do think it's the same groups, it's the same decisions, it's the same things every year. It's kind of pro forma because you get the same groups submitting applications, and then they see it, and everything just kind of happens. I would be interested to see what a new perspective, somebody coming in from the outside, seeing it for the first time, not part of the machine, would do to it. Would that change the distribution or anything like that, or would it remain the same? I don't know. But I favor number 3.
So, Bob, can I clarify? Because you threw something in there that I'm not sure where it's coming from. Choosing people from the Citizens Academy. Did you say that?
No, I'm saying the difference is that people from the Citizens Academy are asking how to get involved. That's just one way. You don't have to pick them from the Citizens Academy. I know you could make that a qualification. That you could use that as your own qualifying factor. But what I'm saying is we've got a lot more people trying to be involved with the city, and this opens up more opportunities for people. We are, with the Citizens Academy, generating new people with enthusiasm to come and join the city and help move the thing along, and we're not having any more opportunities for them to do so. So I think that, we each appoint planning, parks, senior advisory, and quality of life, so saying, but the MCAC is arm's length because we don't appoint them. Well, they're the same people. And so this is the same, I think that it's kind of it's not an accurate statement to say it's completely arm's length. It's our people chosen by our people. It's just another thing. So I would be in favor of opening it up for some new opportunities and seeing if that changes the way the decisions are made. I'd be interested to see if that happens. a fresh perspective.
My goal would be to give other people an opportunity to serve, to have that perspective of, since we've grown, we're a bigger city, let others have that opportunity. So that would be my goal. So number 3.
I'll even add a fourth option. I'm going to muddy the water here. This is fun. We would have four, commissions/committees, one from each of those, and then one citizen at large appointed by the mayor, with the possibility that we prioritize if they've been through the academy or involved in the community.
I would like to make all of the appointments for MCAC at large. I think that would just make it easier. We each appoint one member to the MCAC, but those don't have to be district specific.
All right, well, what I'm hearing is 3 council members, and that's all it takes to give direction, and they're choosing number 3. So amending the resolution to update the committee composition to match the city's other committee compositions, whatever that means. Update to a 5-member committee with the members being appointed by the city council. And we do that annually?
So our other committees have a 2-year term. So
Yes,
this could be
2-year
something-
terms.
If we matched with the other commissions with maybe the caveat of it being at large and not district appointed, it would be a 2-year term. So every 2 years with the biannual recruitment that we have been doing in the last few elections, then those applications would be submitted just like all the other committees, and reappointment or new appointments by the council would be taking place.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just by flipping the switch this quickly, we lose a lot of historical knowledge of some of these. I would, if we're going to go that direction, can we phase it in so that we bring people on that we take some from existing committees so that they have a history and know. Otherwise, you're going to have 5 new people and you got to teach them everything. I don't know if you've got the time for the staff time to do that. I don't know. But that's my concern. You've got 5. You have 5 people. You have to understand, what is CBDG? What is it? Well, you can spend you can spend a long time just figuring that. Then all the different organizations that apply, they've got to get up to speed on that. And it sounds like there's a lot of them to get up to speed on. That's my concern, is that we may be doing the right thing, but the outcome will be less than what we would hope.
I agree with that. I think the people that serve on Planning Commission, Parks and Rec, Trails, they're the ones with the fingers on the pulse. I mean, they know who's in the community, the better citizens. They know those service organizations that apply for CDBG grants and stuff like that. So I think there will be a little bit of a institutional knowledge loss by bringing in brand new people who may not be as knowledgeable as our commissioners.
I think we have to give people more credit than that. Like the first time I attended, they did a little overview. I took the packet home, I read it, understood it, and, was able to make the decisions that needed to be made. I think we should give people
Yeah, it's
more
not that
credit.
hard.
Yeah.
They only have
Yeah.
2 responsibilities: choose our CDBG and Citizen of the Year. It's not that burdensome, in my opinion.
And Mayor, City Council, if I may, just like any new council member or planning commissioner, committee member, we do go through orientation. Just something to keep in mind. We do have that interaction as we onboard our new new members to our bodies.
And if you are serving on MCAC today, you're allowed to be on another committee or commission. In the future, going forward, can we choose a senior advisory committee member to be on MCAC?
How the resolutions are written, as of today, the current committee or commission members cannot serve on another council-appointed body.
Even MCAC?
Even MCAC. So how it is we have a committee and commission-appointed body kind of gets away from that council appointed, which allows them to serve on the 2 committees.
Mayor, they're your rules. If you want to change them, you can change them.
Okay. So, council members, can I ask, let's go ahead with option 3, but allow us to choose somebody who also serves as a planning commissioner or a senior advisory committee if we so choose.
That eliminates the whole point of bringing in new people.
But
I think that's
but
up to the
it
council members.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
it helps ensure the point that I was making. I get your point. You want new people, but my point is I want people who have their finger on the pulse of this community and will be able to have some institutional knowledge.
So what the mayor's saying is he wants to reappoint Gloria to make sure she can teach everybody who's new how to do it.
All right, Gloria, you have, now you have a third job.
That's a possibility.
So I think that's a fair compromise since this is already a second service for these folks. Now it's not going to hurt anybody to set it up that way for the future to allow this one committee. So I'd be fine with that because if a council member has the opinion that they want to bring in new people, they could do that. If the council member has the opinion that they want to rely on somebody with systemic knowledge, they can do that. I think that gives flexibility to the council members to choose from both. And like I said, right now, people are doing double duty on these commissions and committees by serving MCAC, so it wouldn't change that aspect of it. I think I would be fine with that as a compromise.
All right, good. Thank you, Bob.
I'm fine with that too. And
All right,
like I
thank
said at the beginning, I just want to say, there's no right or wrong here. It's just bringing it forward to giving more people opportunities to serve.
Yep.
So.
Stephanie, do you feel comfortable that you have direction?
I do believe so.
Okay.
We will bring back a resolution for the council's consideration at a future date.
All right, and Mr. Melching?
I'm not quite as comfortable as Stephanie. There's just one hanging Chad out there.
Okay.
One council member, I think it was Councilmember Carwin, mentioned that the appointments would be at large, not all 5 at large, not just the mayor's seat at large. Is that what you expect us to bring back?
I agree with that. Pick from anywhere. And you can pick somebody who's a commissioner or someone who's not. And we're picking 2 or 1?
Good point of clarification. 1.
The
and
third
a
one said
5-member.
5-member panel, 1 person from each council member. I think that's enough.
Okay. Solves the odd-even problem, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so there it is. 1 selected by the council members at large, and it can be someone who's already serving on a committee.
Sounds perfect.
Look at us modernizing government.
Thank you, Stephanie.
you.
All right, Mr. City Attorney, do you have anything to report for us?
No, Mayor, I do not.
Okay, Ms. City Manager, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report, thank you.
All right, and I believe Councilmember Sobek would like to have a resolution from the template from California Cities for Local Control be added to a future agenda item for us to approve. Is that correct?
That is correct,
And
Mayor. Thank you.
I would second that.
Thank you.
All right, and Councilman Carwin, do you have an item?
Yes, I've got a request for a future agenda item for the feasibility of adding an ability and or adaptive sports camp to our Parks Department list of programs.
I'll second that. Well, okay, Councilmember Sobek seconds it. I
Thank you.
like it. Thank you, Bob. Good idea. Any others? All right, we are going to adjourn, but I think Councilman Estrada may want to share something.
Yes, we had a resident. His name was Damon Harris. He was 26 years old, a very young soul. He lost his life too soon. And him and the rest of the Harris family dedicated their life to helping assisted living communities here in Menifee. And so he had a bright future, and the family was very instrumental in helping our assisted living. And our condolences go with the Harris family.
All right, thank you, Councilman Estrada. So let's close in honor and memory of Damon Wayne Harris, and it is 9:40. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here.